Bonsoir et bienvenue au monde. Good evening and welcome to the season finale for season 2 of the eTeam BRIT GT challenge, and we couldn't have thought of a better place to conclude our second season here at the Circuit de la Sarthe, simply known as Le Mans in Pays de la Loire in France. 13.626 kilometers, 8.467 miles. But we have a twist in the tail. A 2-hour race, 2 mandatory, minimum 30-second pit stops required. No mandatory pit stop window has been provided for the drivers, so it is all about who is going to do the level best. And once again, for the final time for Season 2, Alex Goldschmidt and David Christie with you once again. David, as soon as it started, how quickly has it come to this finale?
Oh man, it just feels like the entire season is gone in the blink of an eye. Good evening, Alex. It's always a pleasure to be here. We've both been looking forward to this specific round so much because it is just a final roll of the dice of the season. Double points rounds, double times then here at Le Mans, legendary circuit, legendary drivers. Wow, what a night we've got in store.
Yes, indeed we have. And this circuit, we had a double points round here at round 3 for Season 1. We decided, well, let's put Le Mans at the tail end of the calendar and make it this centrepiece here. So that's exactly what we've done. Let's have a look at the points coming into this round. First of all, let's start off with the AM category. Ben Brown leads by 14 points from Cam Sport Fire, ahead of Cammy Sturch, who is within a stone's throw. I've seen some social media interaction from Team Fordzilla, who have been a big supporter of the championship, so a big thank you for their help this season. eTeam BRIT, Bradley Brocky's in third place on 102 points, a further 13 adrift of Sturch. Then it's Stuart Ross French who rounds out the top 4 ahead of Sandro Ballesteros, Chris Wilson, David Simon, Max Spooner in 8th place as well. Daniel Heyde, Ben Hetherington and Luke Mitchell round out the top 11. Ben Hetherington is not racing this evening. He is being replaced by Grant Lyman, who's returned for the season finale, but Matt Richards has a 21-point advantage ahead of Joonas Raivio. The 2 Rocket eSports cars at the top of the tree. Jan van der Heyde from Germany, representing Zansho Simsport, is having some issues trying to get onto the server, I understand. So the organisers have decided to give him an opportunity to get on board before qualification. Cyril Vire rounds out the top 4. Martin Buchan in 5th ahead of Christian Kelly. Those 2 are split by just 4 points. Bobby Trundley looking forward to this round, obviously having spoken to him on the preview show officially last night. Louis Stewart, Haytham Abdelkader and Dan Blake round out the top 10, with Scott Mitchell from Kings Racing rounding out the top 11. But then we go to the teams. Rocket eSports 78 points ahead of Zansho Simsport, but it is a tooth and nail battle between Zansho Simsport, Cam Sport Fire and eTeam BRIT for the runner-up step on the rostrum in terms of the team championships. Cammy Sturch from Team Fordzilla won on 119 points. That's including the initial points that were gathered by Charlie Crossland in the first couple of rounds of the season. Cadan Casual Apex, Cam Sport Ice, Team Fordzilla 2, Team BRIT and Kings Racing round out the top 10. Good evening to Amy Roberts. Good evening to our very own Bobby Trundley, who will be competing tonight. And David, one thing, the allure of Le Mans, there is nothing like it, is there?
There absolutely is not. It is one of the most famous racetracks in the world, steeped in history, steeped in tradition. Obviously, we've got the Le Mans coming up again that's just been moved to August. But what better place to settle some big scores this year than at Le Mans? It's an amazing track. I really do love it. It's, you know, so many iconic parts of it. You know, you think of the Mulsanne Straight, you think of Tetra Rouge, Arnage through the Porsche curves. Every single bit of it has seen some sort of monumental, historical, race-changing incident or event happen at those points.
Well, before we get things truly underway here at Circuit de la Sarthe, let's have a look back at Imola just 2 weeks ago. The second half of our Italian doubleheader. Ladies and gentlemen, we are green, green, green. It is now the run down to Tamburello for the first time.
Wild start there. Nothing less than we expect here.
Going down into Tamburello, Richards trying to seize the day and try and get past Jan van der Heyde. But again, they're side by side through Tamburello. Oh, Richards and van der Heyde, they nearly come to blows, but van der Heyde keeps it planted through Tamburello. My goodness me, and Joonas Raivio now trying to make it through abreast going into Villeneuve. And you can now see that there's... Did you see that little flash of the headlights from Bobby Trundley there?
Bobby Trundley looking racy? Never. Nah, Bobby's
No. He flashed the lights there. He flashed the lights as if to say to Matt Webb, just to let you know I'm there. This sort of situation. That was, I think Raivio let him past. I think Raivio was trying to do something.
I wonder though. I wonder if Raivio maybe feels that I don't know if he's needing to conserve his tyres or he's wanting to sit in the slipstream. But you notice Richards and Raivio, they didn't lose any time doing that.
On the 38-minute mark, still remaining on the clock, Raivio's pitted. He's the first one to blink. So now Richards has got to do one of two things here. Get past Von der Heyde, and he's trying to go around the outside as we've got a yellow in sector 3. As Richards trying to go thread the eye of the needle. Oh, they tangle there. Oh, back end steps out to the left-hand side.
And Jan van der Heyde, and Jan is
Oh, now this is an interesting battle. Max Spooner trying to get towards Chris Wilson. Now this is for 16th on the road roundabout now, and they're just really absolutely going for it. Look at this. Richards, Von der Heyde, and there is Raivio. They're covered by just over 1.4 seconds going into Variante Alta.
As we get a replay here, and this is now... Oh, look at that contact then!
That's it, Matt Richards, he's held on, 0 on the clock. That means he will take the checkered flag and take another victory on his way to a successful title defence. And, well, that's a gentlemanly thing to do, because Cammy Search, it's finally happened after 7 attempts. Cammy Search wins in the AM category here on the eTeam BRIT GT Challenge. So, a very exciting penultimate round at Autodromo Enzo e Dino Ferrari Imola 2 weeks ago, David. But now, tonight, I'm really, really looking forward to hearing from what everyone is saying on the chat. Good to hear from the likes of James Hall, Bobby Trunny, Phil Webb, Brett Dorman. Who are you cheering on for tonight? We want to know who you're hoping is going to win the 2-hour double points race. Now, David, we wanted to give the drivers a bit of a challenge this evening, and we've definitely done that with the 2-hour race. 2 mandatory minimum 30-second pit stops required. So if they decide to go on a 3-stop strategy, less fuel in the car, less weight, faster lap times, able to catch up to opponents. But Le Mans is a very, very fickle motorsport circuit, as we've already alluded to in the preview show.
For sure, there's so many different moving parts that are going to be in play tonight. Strategy is just one of them, and that is going to be another one. We can see some really, really difficult conditions there. That's a lot of spray being kicked up the back of one of the Fordzilla cars there. So obviously weather could be a factor tonight as well. But the thing is that regardless of all of the different components that make up tonight, I mean, all of the drivers have had a stellar season to set it up for this final event to make sure that it goes all the way to the end. It's just been absolutely fantastic, and you know, it sounds cheesy, it sounds corny, but it doesn't matter what we get tonight. We've had one hell of a season.
Definitely. Well, Phil Webb, obviously being the team boss for Cadan Casual Apex, he'll be cheering on Daniel Heyde and Grant Lyman. Well, it looks like James Hall has definitely got his set sight on Bradley Brockies, and he said, if you pull this off, it'll be the new Mission Impossible movie. Go, Brad, go. Well, that's what you call a cheerleader, isn't it, David?
And that's exactly what you want, is to surround yourself with people that are going to be, you know, coming into social media, into the live streams and shouting for you and cheering you on. It really does give you a massive boost, Alex, as a driver to see that sort of stuff happening. And you know, the drivers absolutely know what's happening. They'll be having a little ear into some of the commentary on the build-up and getting their settings dialed in. So yeah, the more support these drivers can get, the better. They absolutely love it. They completely thrive on it.
Yes, indeed, and some drivers thrive under pressure more than others, and it depends on if there's something that ekes its way through the cracks here at Le Mans. But it is a track that is steeped in tradition. So before we get things really underway with this for the final time, we've got Will Dendy. Good evening. He's saying he's cheering on Zansho Simsport as well tonight. But we're going to give you a real idea of what can happen here at Le Mans in the hot lap, courtesy of Bobby Trundley. Welcome to the iconic Circuit de la Sarthe, Le Mans in Baie de la Loire in France. 13.626 kilometres, and we are on our way heading towards Dunlop for the very first time. 5th gear, around about 235 kilometres an hour before the Dunlop chicane. Down the gearbox all the way down to 2nd at around 105 kilometres an hour before the second part is about 10k slower. We now head towards the S's at Tetra Rouge. We're building the speed, building the commitment, and you head into the main part of it at around 3rd gear, 150 kilometres an hour, before you then explode out of the corner, start accelerating up to 4th. Nearly 200 kilometres an hour through into the right at Tetra Rouge before you head onto the first of 3 parts of the iconic Mulsanne Straight. Accelerating up the gears, 220 kilometres an hour up to 5th. We are going to pull 6th gear here, and we will literally be VMAXing the car on our approach towards the first chicane here at Le Mans. 270 kilometres an hour and climbing. You can just see the amount of buffeting that the car's having to deal with at the moment as we reach a top speed of 282 kilometres an hour, 125 metres out from the first chicane. You start braking, go all the way from 6th to 2nd, 110 kilometres an hour. It's around just over 62 miles an hour in UK speeds, but then we accelerate up again, up into 5th. We're now heading over 230 kilometres an hour. The speed is still climbing, and this is one of the main straights that you will get a distinct advantage in the slipstream, and that is what we will see here during the 1 hour race from daytime to nighttime situation. as we further get our way towards the second chicane, braking from around 120 metres out from 276 kilometres an hour in sixth to 110 in second. Out of the second chicane, down the final part, there's a little bit of a right-hand kink here as we head to Mulsanne corner. And again, we are going to pull sixth gear and we are going to be fast approaching nearly 270 kilometres an hour. But the braking zone is a little bit more aggressive here, as you will get a little kink as you go into Mulsanne at about 75 metres out. You're going to start braking all the way down the gearbox from 6th to 1st, 85 k's through Mulsanne corner, and then it is the very quick run down to Indianapolis and Arnage here. 4th gear, 200 k's, speed's increasing once again, a little bit of a right-hand kink here, what they call the Courbe du Golf. We head down towards Indianapolis. We pulled 6th gear already all the way up and down the gearbox, back up again. As now you're going to see on the indicated speedometer 278 kilometers an hour before we brake heavily for the S's at Indianapolis, before the right-hander at Arnage, which will be the slowest part on the circuit. So up from 2nd to 3rd, down to 1st gear, 70 kilometers an hour as you exit the corner and try and put the power down, going now through the left-hand curve of Courbe du Buisson, heading towards the Porsche curves here. Again, we're going to pull 4th gear up to 5th. We're not going to be as fast towards the Porsche curves, but the Porsche curves will be taken at around 140 miles an hour. It's about 220 kph. We're up to 6th, down all the way through to 4th, make that 3rd at around 170 kilometers an hour, through the second half of it, through into the Virage du Pont, then the S's du Karting before the Corvette curves. You can see it's about modulating the throttle, making sure that you're nice and tidy whilst carrying the momentum all at the same time. 3rd gear, 150 through the first part of the Porsche, the Corvette curves, as we head to Maison Blanche before the double Ford chicane here at Le Mans, which will conclude the lap. So braking just before the pit lane entry is out of sight through the Ford chicane. 2nd gear through the first one, 1st gear through the second one at around 95 kilometers an hour. And now it's a blast to the finish line here. 13.626 kilometers covered in 4 minutes 9.302. Well, qualifying now well and truly underway here at the Circuit de la Sarthe, and what's more, we are under the nighttime skies. Now, this is going to be a rather interesting side of things because obviously at the real 24 Hours of Le Mans, David, they do qualify not just under the daytime but also the night.
Yeah, and it's a different dynamic, isn't it? I do hope that the drivers have put their practice in. I would imagine so, given that they were essentially going to be replicating the daytime to nighttime transition, or vice versa. I'm just seeing that the track looks decidedly dry just now, so I'm quite happy with that. So we should see some good fast lap times coming in. But yeah, here we go. Half an hour of qualifying. The final chapter begins now. Okay, so unfortunately, I do have to let everybody know that Jan van der Heyde is now out of the title fight in Pro. We did the organisers did give him until the beginning of qualifying. So unfortunately, it is now a two-way scrap in Pro between Matt Richards and Joonas Raivio for the Pro title. But in AM, it's looking rather interesting. If Ben Brown either finishes first, or if he finishes in second, there is Devin Brauner, who will actually now replace, as allowed by the championship organisers, Jan van der Heyde. So Devin Brauner works as a software programmer, but also has quite a bit of background in not just real life, but sim racing motorsport. Used to compete in karting in Germany, which included national competition between 2003 and 2016. He also competed at the Le Mans 24 Hours Virtual, fourth place finish with Dubai-based team 2Cs Motorsport. He's the winner of the RF24 with Singularity Racing. He put in his comments, he said, probably a bunch of other achievements I forgot to mention. Well, if you've raced at the Le Mans 24-hour Virtual and taken fourth overall, that's pretty good going, if you don't mind me saying. Yeah, in many respects, this could be the case where Devin will be able to score points for the team. But yeah, to have that kind of guy that has that competitive streak, David, that's pretty good on that respect. So, what do you say? It swings and roundabouts, though, is it? Because you don't want them doing too good unless in case they accidentally do you out of a job for next season. So, but no, look, it's a fantastic driver, fantastic pedigree to have in with the championship. We're going to welcome him with open arms anyway. We obviously were gutted that we can't get Jan van der Heyde into tonight. It was just an outside chance that he did have of the championship, but a chance nonetheless. And it's just exactly the same as in real life. Sometimes these things happen, and sometimes you don't even make it to the grid.
Yeah, so effectively, we're just sort of like looking at and looked at that iconic Ferris wheel in the with the fantastic illumination. You seem to see Ferris wheels at a lot of circuits. I think, what is it? Suzuka's got one. Daytona's got one. It's there's quite a lot of work that goes into the amount of infrastructure around a circuit. And with the attention to detail here at Le Mans, Christian Kelly goes underneath the Dunlop Bridge and into the Dunlop curves. Rather interesting. And I still remember when Yannick Dalmas, who has won Le Mans previously, he actually, I think you might remember this, David, during a very wet session in the middle of the night, Yannick Dalmas was in the Audi R8 safety car and completely drifted the car sideways going through the Dunlop curves, didn't he, one particular night? And that literally went viral on social media.
Well, to be fair to the Audi, you don't exactly need wet conditions for that thing to try and slide you sideways and throw you into the nearest wall. I've got a love-hate relationship with the Audi GT3, but quite a spectacular moment, and it's not exactly what you want to see a safety car doing, though, is it, Alex?
Well, at least the thing is, he doesn't have to worry about the tyre invoice bill afterwards.
I just wonder if there was some mad Eurobeat playing in the background to keep the crowd entertained. But just on that note about the Ferris wheels, I mean, Nürburgring is another track that's got that, and the reason they have that is that these events that they host here are massive spectator events. You're talking, tens of thousands of people that they try and keep on the site for as long as possible. So they've got all of the entertainment. They've got usually live music. They've got food stalls. And it's crazy to see that all being replicated here in sim racing. So it's fantastic to see.
Yes, indeed. And we're waiting for the first few times to come in. Matt Richards, the current defending and reigning champion, he comes into this round with a 21-point advantage. And look, he's already going faster than anybody in sectors 1 and 2. So he's now going through the Porsche curves and then through into Corvette. Now, obviously, the place that he's just passed, one of the most audacious manoeuvres with quadruple stinted tyres by one French driver by the name of Benoit Trullier, who back in 2011 made an outside overtake coming through the exit of the Porsche curves, around a GTE Pro car. And it was one of the most audacious moves I've ever seen. Joonas Raivio in provisional pole with 21 minutes and 50 on the clock still to go. Matt Richards goes to within 85 thousandths. And then Devin Brauner rounds out the top 3 positions. He's only just under 2/10 off of Raivio. This is where things are going to get rather interesting. And we'll see how the remainder of the drivers get on. Some of the drivers out on the circuit at the moment. Sido Vaya, Louis Stewart, Alex Buncombe returns once again. David Simon, Luke Pound, Max Spooner, Ben Brown, Christian Kelly, Dan Blake, Haytham Abdulkader and Daniel Heyde. They are all out on laps at the moment, but some of the other drivers, Daniel Heyde comes in with the 4:17, but still a little bit more pace to find there for the number 2 from Cadan Casual Apex. He's now put it into the pit lane as drivers starting to make their way through. Ben Brown goes P5, Dan Blake goes P7. Ben Brown vying for the AMP title. David Simon, that's a brilliant lap from him. He goes sub 4 minutes in the Radical, 3-minute 59.414. I did see that. We'll see how Cami Sturch gets on because she's the main title protagonist, as is Bradley Brockies. There is no short of mathematical opportunities for drivers to get themselves into the mix and throw a bit of a spanner in the works here as Max Spooner has a couple of moments there, and that was heading through into the Porsche curves. He got away with that sort of tank slapper going through the right-hander, but he's done a personal best in both sectors 1 and 2 because this is actually his first flying lap here at Le Mans. And with 20 minutes to go, you really want to get that banker lap in first, and if you can put another hot lap in and get a bit further up the order, that can help you, can't it, David?
I absolutely can. I would also argue that of all of the races this season, a poor qualifying is going to be the least affected tonight. So the further back you are in the grids, because it's a 2-hour race, you're going to be affected. You've got more chance to recover from that, I think. You still obviously want to try and get yourself up to the very front of the grid if possible, but if it doesn't, I wouldn't be beating yourself up too much. Knuckle down, get on with it. It's going to be a very long incident-filled race.
Oh, he's already calling it before it's even started. Thank you, Mr. Christie, for that one.
I mean, saying that, it's actually going to be, and I will actually preface that, I think we will have our fair share of incidents, but I think this will be one of the cleanest ones that we have this season, because when you think about it, Alex, these guys and girls have raced against each other all season now. They know who they can drive against, they know who they can trust to be side by side with, they know who they're not going to stick it up the inside because they're going to get their nose chopped off. So by this point, there's a lot of trust, there's a lot of respect, and there's a lot of banter basically going on between all of the drivers now at the end of the season. Nobody wants to go out on a low point. Everyone wants to finish the race, and everyone wants to finish as best as they possibly can.
Yep, so we're fast hurtling our way towards the second half of the qualification session. It is 5 degrees Celsius at the Circuit de la Sarthe, 13.626 kilometers, 8.467 miles. The lap record set back in 2019 was by Toyota Gazoo Racing's very own Mike Conway. And in an LMP1 hybrid, it was a 3 minutes 17.297. Best time so far still is Joonas Raivio, Matt Richards, and Devin Palmer round out the top 3. Alex Buncombe rounds out the top 4. Sidorvaya, Christian Kelly. David Simon is actually provisionally on pole for AM at this particular moment in time, as Sidorvaya now goes quicker than Alex Buncombe. There is Ben Brown in the Mercedes-AMG GT3, 6.2 litre naturally aspirated V8, with the hopefully with the likes of the turbocharged EcoBoost engine on the Radicals, piloted by Camus Sturch, Dan Blake, and also David Simon. Ben Brown, he's up on sector number 2 at this particular moment, and he needs to get closer. Heyde Abdelkader goes up into P8. Ben Brown goes P6 on a 3 minute 58.222. Looks like we're having requests for people to see what Devin Palmer is doing at the moment, or could we see actually his lap? A bit of a moment there for Chris Wilson, as he's got Louis Stewart closing up behind him. But 13 drivers so far have completed full laps. It's not easy qualifying here at Le Mans, is it, David? Because, I mean, especially during nighttime, because your visibility is so much more compromised, because you've got sometimes floodlights, and then you've only got your front and rear lights to sort of guide you along the way, and also the rear view mirrors.
What gets me about Le Mans, Alex, is that it's one of the most difficult circuits in the world in the dry during the daytime, let alone at night, when you've got other cars at random intervals and you're trying your best to get your best hot lap in. It's a tall order, and I'm glad it's not me that's out there trying to set my fastest lap, because I'd be rather embarrassing myself right now. You look at the Mulsanne straight that we're seeing Devin Brown going on to here for Zansho Simsport, just coming up to the first chicane here. The two chicanes for me are one of the biggest danger points, because especially here in the dark, Alex, it's so easy to miss your braking point. In fact, he's going on to the second one here. It's the left and then the right, and then back onto the second half of the straight. It's so easy to miss slightly your braking point and your apex, and then your exit point as well. And then normally on any other circuit that would maybe be half a second to a second, but when you consider that's just your first half of the lap done, you've then got another second half, and that usually is where it costs you 2, 3, 4 seconds.
Hold the phone. Look, Bobby Trunley's just gone provisional pole, 3 minutes 4.669.
I'm sorry,
wow.
What? Where did that come from?
Matt Richards, however, is up by well over 2/10 of a second in sector 1. But Bobby Trunley, he's literally beaten Joonas Raivio by nearly 1/10 and a half. Wow, Bobby Trunley. He said, I said to him last night on the preview show, I said, you just go out there and race your own race. That's exactly what he's doing. Devin Palmer's still up in sector 2. Matt Richards has gone purple in sector 2. So I think Bobby Trunley might have to watch out, because he did a 36.5 on the first sector, a 1 minute 32.3. Matt Richards a 36.2 in sector 1, and a 1 minute 31.9 in sector 2. So I think we could be seeing that Matt Richards and Devin Palmer could be, with regards to that, it's very interesting how these times are tumbling here at Le Mans. But Devin Palmer really looking to try and make his impression felt here tonight.
He certainly is, but I just can't get over that lap from Trundley. I mean, what has he done? Has he just skipped one of the chicanes or something? That is a monster lap from him. Normally we see him usually around about maybe say 5th or 6th place in terms of qualifying, but for him just to fire it on pole ahead of Raivio and Richards, that is absolutely insane. Wow, that was a car going very, very wide in the background there. I'll have to get an idea on who that was, but that was right into, I think that was Corvette corner that the car just went flying at the gravel trap there, and that is going to be back to the pits for them to restart their qualifying lap.
P2 for Devin Brauner there, and Matt Richards. Well, it looks like people are responding. Joonas Raivio has responded, a 3-minute 53.825. Richards goes across the line, goes P1, 3-minute 53.347. Well, there's been something rather interesting there, that Richards and Raivio definitely are battling for all the glory tonight for the championship. Matt Richards looking to defend that title, and we clearly know here, David, that the Joonas Raivio is a bit of a moment for Alex Buncombe going through. I think that might have been in towards Arnage possibly, but Richards and Raivio, the gloves, well and truly off tonight.
Yeah, Richards is in the pound seats right now as well, because all he has to do is finish ahead of Raivio. Raivio has to win and has to hope Richards has an absolute mare tonight to have any chance of winning this championship, which is not beyond the realms of possibility. And I've said this several times throughout the championship. Matt Richards, his own worst enemy is Matt Richards, because if you get him out in front and you leave him to his own devices and you put him under pressure, he buckles. He's done it repeatedly, and he makes unforced errors that just come out of absolutely nowhere, and then suddenly it leaves the opportunity open to Raivio. The problem with that is I can't see, with the pace that Richards and Raivio have got, I can't see that any mistake that Richards might do cost them so much that it's actually going to put the championship in jeopardy. Brown is going to add a whole new dynamic to tonight. I think he's going to get his nose involved there and get a little bit fighty. And if there's contact, Alex, who knows what's going to happen tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just doing some calculations here at the moment. For Joonas Raivio to win the title this evening, Matt Richards will have to finish in no higher than 4th place tonight, which means that Raivio would take the title by just 3 points. That's how close it can be this evening. So realistically, your guess is as good as mine, ladies and gentlemen, what is going to happen tonight. And we are still waiting for some drivers to set lap times. Max Spooner looks to be making some good improvements in sectors 1 and 2. Chris Wilson and Stuart Ross French yet to set a competitive lap time. We've still got 10 minutes and 40 seconds on the clock remaining here at Le Mans. So a big thank you firstly to everyone interacting. Good to hear from Lewis McGlade again, correcting me on my pronunciation. Thank you very much, good sir. I'll use Le Mans for the rest of the evening. Yeah, I think we also have to thank our very esteemed broadcast director that's been with us for the past 2 seasons, Mike Yao. He's doing a fantastic job as always, and the angles that he's managed to get this season have been nothing but fantastic as we are on board. Max Spooner goes P12 here, and that was a pretty good lap. I spoke with Max not too long ago, actually within the last 48 hours. Good evening to Chris Pinchbeck as well, who's joining the chat. Max Spooner, a 3-minute 58.675. So he's feeling a bit more confident behind the Racing with Autism International number 63. McLaren Sandro Ballesteros looking to improve. Times are coming in, and at the moment, Matt Richards still holds pole position after 6 laps of this 13.626 kilometre circuit. So Sandro Ballesteros comes out of the Ford chicane, comes across the line, goes 16th overall on that particular occasion, a 4-minute 0.758. Chris Wilson in the Bentley. Now he's round about close to around halfway across the circuit. He's now making his way through the right-hander. That would have been through Mulsanne, which is where I think Alex Buncombe had an off a bit earlier on. But still, it is Matt Richards, Joonas Raivio, Devin Brauner, Bobby Trundley, Martin Buchan, Ciro Vire, Christian Kelly, Alex Buncombe, Bradley Brockies. That's a great lap from him, a 3-minute 57.731. Ben Brown rounds out the top 10. But in terms of the AM ramifications here at the moment, just looking at the times, it is all about what's going to happen in the race. We know at Le Mans that you don't win Le Mans Le Mans picks its winners. That is an adage that has been around since the mid 1920s. Le Mans has hosted 24 Hours of Le Mans for 88 times. It's going to host it for its 89th time on the 21st and the 22nd of August. And with 8 minutes of this session, I think those that are not out on an outlap now have missed their opportunity to possibly get themselves up the order ready for the 2-hour race.
The thing that you made about Le Mans picking its winners is, absolutely spot on. We've seen it time and time again, Alex. Both in real life and in sim racing through the virtual Le Mans 24 and through the eTeam BRIT last season. It's all very well being the fastest driver and being the most accomplished driver, but it means absolutely nothing if your luck runs out on the night, and that is exactly what you need to have. You need to have Lady Luck on your side, smiling down on you for you to get anywhere here tonight. On a completely different note, I was very impressed to see Martin Buchan up into 6th place. I think that was, 2 places ahead of Christian Kelly. And one of the things that we kept mentioning in the preview show, Alex, is just how close these two have been to each other all season. Never more than 2 to 3 places apart from each other. They're literally inseparable, and it's kind of awesome. It's like the little fighting buddies that just kind of duke it out with each other every single round.
Yeah, well, Chris Wilson's definitely thrown himself into the mix because he's put himself up into P13 ahead of Max Spooner. So a lot of drivers really doing their utmost. We've got 6.5 minutes of this qualification session. Joonas Raivio goes up to purple in Sector 2, but then pulls it into the pits. But Matt Richards, he's done an absolutely stellar job. There's still drivers out there. Stuart Ross French, Max Spooner, David Simon, Sandro Ballesteros, Cammy Sturch is running, looks to be nigh on a personal best as Matt Richards. He's absolutely blitzed the second sector. My goodness. A 1 minute 31.711 from the defending and reigning champion. He's absolutely flying, and Raivio at the moment is not that far adrift when you look at it, because comparative between the two on the first sector, Richards up by over 1/10.5 in Sector 2. And Richards has just got this Corvette hooked up absolutely brilliantly. Into the right-hander he goes, and now he's going to, that's through Mulsanne, and he's now going to head towards Indianapolis and Arnage. So let's see if we can actually ride on board with this. For those wondering, you can go to eTeamBRIT.liveracers.com. That is the official live timing link for tonight. So we are on board now with Matt Richards. You can just see the amount of steering correction. Now he's going into the Porsche curves, yellow in Sector 2. So let's just stay on board with the Rocket eSports Callaway Corvette C7R. You can see the Ferris wheel just out into the back of the distance there. It's rather interesting how this circuit truly comes alive during the night, and then it will be the next couple of chicanes. So I'll head through into the Ford chicane now, and absolutely muscling this car around every single corner. Out of the final corner through the Ford chicane, Matt Richards now crosses the line. What's the time going to be? 2 1,000ths off of his pole time with 4.5 minutes off the clock. On the clock still to go. That was an impressive lap from Matt Richards there, David. Wow.
Certainly was. And again, the other thing is that Corvette, we don't just see it with Matt Richards, but we see it with all of the Corvettes. They really seem to be a car that reacts very, very well to you being a very aggressive driver, Alex. You have to really hustle the cars around the corners here, more so than you would get away with on any of the other cars that you see on the grid here tonight. And I think that is exactly where the speed comes from. That's why Richards and Raivio know they can get the extra time out of it and be leaps and bounds on, because he can just be so aggressive through the rest of the course and have that confidence that the car's going to stick underneath them.
Yeah, so we're fast approaching the end of this session here at Le Mans. So Richards still on pole, Raivio, Via, Brauner, Trundley, Buchan, Brown, Stewart, Kelly, Buncombe out there as well. Hamish Eisner returns for the season finale here on season 2. Max Spooner down in 15th. Cami Sturch, her best lap so far, a 4 minute, just under 4 minutes, a 3 minute 59.678. She's 3/1000ths off of what Max Spooner was able to do. But one of the biggest things about this, David, is that with the Radical, it is a short block car in comparison with regards to the engine. The Radical GT, RXC GT3, it has a Ford EcoBoost engine. We saw that with the car itself. I mean, it's one of the smallest cars on the grid. However, it definitely packs a little bit of a punch, doesn't it?
It certainly does, but what I'm more interested in, this is one of the few times this season where teammates have outdone each other. So David Simon has usually had to play second fiddle to Cami Sturch this season, but Cami at the moment struggling to get the pace in, down in 16th at the moment, and that looks to be about 2 seconds off the pace that David Simon is doing, 6 seconds off your leader's pace, and that sounds like a monumental amount of time. But when you consider that, the exit from one corner at the first part of the circuit. So, for example, if you get the exits to say Dunlop wrong, and you're maybe 10 miles an hour slower, that adds up to about 7-8 seconds as we see Daniel Heyde going around and around and around the corner. I'd give that one a 6.5. I think I'm feeling quite generous for that. That was quite gracious.
10 points for pirouetting power there.
I did try to say graceful there, but it didn't quite come out that way.
I think when we try and look at it, it's as soon as everyone sort of tries to think about what music you can put to that, it's
Oh, Bradley Brocky's into the wall there. That is going to need some sort of... That's fine. T-cut will be absolutely fine. I think that was looked like Mulsanne, the corner at the end of the Mulsanne straight there. So, yeah, not the best, but I'm sure that'll buff out. Cami Sturch, though, trying to prove me wrong at the moment. Really hustling that car around one, around and around and around the corner goes Cami Sturch, and that is good night. Right, so I think, Alex, what's happening here is that every car that our producer Mike goes on to is jinxed immediately, is cursed. But imagine this for a plot twist, right? Bobby Trundley takes pole position. What would happen then?
I'm not going to jinx it. I'm not going to jinx it at all. Excuse me. But anything is possible. Anything can happen. We've seen that before in every single round. I think it's more a case that I'm not worried about the qualifying. I'm more interested in what happens in the 2-hour race. And that's where it gets rather interesting for me, because now we hit 0 on the clock. So Bobby Trundley comes through the Porsche curves. And Joonas Raivio has gone purple in Sector 1 by nearly half a tenth. Checkered flag out for the session. Bobby Trundley is now coming through the exit of the Porsche curves. Just a few more corners for Bobby Trundley. He'll be back in the Brit Car Endurance Series this year with Aaron Morgan, who I know is watching. Good evening, Aaron. Hope you're keeping well. They'll be racing the Aston Martin GT4 this season. So personal best for Joonas Raivio in Sector 2, but Bobby Trundley crosses the line, stays P5. So that is his session over. Sandro Ballesteros has also finished. Joonas Raivio up by less than 40 thousandths in Sector 1, but in Sector 2 he's down by just over 4 tenths. It's dependent on how he can wrestle with that car through Sector number 3, and that's the rather interesting point, as he's now just exited. And look, the sunrise is now coming in the latter stage of qualifying as the checker has fallen. And this is what they call happy hour a little bit. When the sun starts to rise here at Le Mans, the times instantly go quicker as soon as the hot temperatures start blazoning their way onto the track here at Le Mans. Through into the Porsche curves comes Joonas Raivio. Will he do enough to get on level pegging or even pit Matt Richards to pole position. Bobby Trundley's just admitted he lost 4/10 on that lap because he actually went off. He said it is what it is, but still to be P5 at the end of this session is still with the competitiveness of the drivers that we actually have here. So Raivio just has a couple more corners to remain. He goes past the pit lane entry here at Le Mans. And let's see if he can do his level best to get one up on Matt Richards going into the final round of the championship. Here comes the Finn, based out of Turku in Finland. Across the line goes P1, 3 minute 53.0. And you know what? The thing was, the track was actually damp. The track was damp.
Yeah, you can see that now.
Yeah. That's why people were spinning. Oh,
Buchan could take pole here. Buchan coming out the final corner was purple in sector 1, loses it on the final sector there. That's a cracking lap for him. 5th place, but wow, right last gasp. That is game on for the championship, I tell you that now, because Ciro Vire is going to fancy having a little look up the inside as we get things started.
Max Spooner, that's a hell of a lap from him. A 3 minute 57.090. Cammy Sturch has got some work to do. And has got that Ciro Vire just behind in the number 26 from Zansho Simsport. And Bobby Trundley has gone, damn you, Martin. Laugh out loud on the chat. Bobby, you best get racing him tonight then, my friend. But Cammy Sturch just trying to keep that radical on the dry stuff, going through the Porsche curves now that the sunshine is coming down. She's up on both sectors. So Cammy Sturch currently 17th, but Ciro Vire right behind the Radical RX CGT3, which produces around 500 horsepower from its 3.5 litre. Oh, now the thing was, Cammy was on a really, really good lap there. That has just literally given her the biggest mountain to climb tonight. What just happened just there?
Yeah, that's a shame. I don't think there was any contact, but I think she had problems with that corner the last lap round. But yeah, not the best. But it is what it is. And Ciro Vire, 3rd place then, what was that, 145.535, so does improve 0.4 of a second behind your pole sitter. Wow. There you go, Alex.
So Joonas Raivio on his 11th and final lap here at Le Mans, the 13.626 kilometre circuit, takes pole position by nearly 3/10 from the reigning and defending champion Matt Richards, who comes into this final race with a 21-point advantage. Ciro Vire in 3rd, Devin Brauner in 4th, Martin Buchan in 5th, Bobby Trundley, Christian Kelly. And would you believe it, for the first time this season, we have a different pole sitter in AM. It is Max Spooner in the number 63. Takes pole in AM and takes 8th on the road ahead of Ben Brown, the driver coming into this round with a 14-point advantage over Cammy Sturch. Louis Stewart in 10th position. Then we go to the remainder of the top 20. Alex Buncombe will start in 11th ahead of Team Fordzilla 2's David Simon. Bradley Brockies will start P13 ahead of Stuart Ross French from where will be in 14th position ahead of Chris Wilson. Luke Pound, Cammy Sturch, Haytham Abdul-Qadir, Sandro Ballesteros, Dan Blake rounds out the top 20. Rounding out the 23 strong will be Hamish Eisner from eTeam BRIT 2, Grant Lyman from Candan Casual Apex, and bringing up the rear in 23rd position will be Daniel Heyde. Well, who'd have thought that for a storyline there, David?
Oh my goodness me, I absolutely love it. Max Spooner, what an absolute lad he is. Sticking it up P8. And I tell you what, him and Bobby Trundley are going to get absolutely leery going down into turn 1. They are going to be knocking 7 bells out of each other, and I am going to love every moment of it. Great to see Bobby Trundley giving us some love in the old YouTube chat. As always, guys, if you do like what you're seeing, hit like and subscribe and the notification bell, and you'll never miss any more of the awesome broadcasts that come the way from Simply Race. But Alex, I mean, right at the last gasp there, Joonas Raivio taking that pole position, that was what he needed to do. I mean, he could not literally have done anything more to save his championship hopes right now. It's now a case of hoping that he can get Matt Richards in some sort of problems.
Yeah, so good evening to Dave Jones, good evening to Andy Tucker as always. Yeah, the ice cream jokes have started already. To be honest with you, it's going to be rather interesting, but we've got a 2-hour race. David, I'm going to say this again, is that the unpredictability factor. You said about last night on the preview show about who you thought was going to win the race and win the respective titles. I said unpredictability is the only word that I was mentioning towards any of that. That still is very, very much a big proposition here at Le Mans.
If I'm being completely honest, if I'm telling you my gut feeling right now, I might be completely wrong and I might be really stupid with this, but I think Joonas Raivio is going to take the championship tonight. I don't know what it is, but it's obviously a massively long shot because he needs to win tonight and he needs all the dominoes to fall into place. But there's just something in my gut that's saying that is how it's going to pan out tonight. For the AM, absolutely God knows what's going to happen. That is just way too crazy to call with those cats in the AM. They are just so competitive, and yeah, they are going to give us an amazing race.
Yeah, so ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, who do you think is going to win the Pro Championship this evening? Who is going to win the AM Championship? And who is going to take the team's titles? Will Zansho Simsport look to secure the title for the second successive season here on the eTeam BRIT GT Challenge? Or will it be Rocket eSports? Will it be Ben Brown? Could it be Bradley Brockies? Or could it be Cammy Sturch that wins the AM class? And it is Richards versus the Raivio or Pro. What's your bets on tonight? We want to hear from you. Get interactive with us here because now this is where things really get spicy. Effectively, David, the biggest battles that we're going to see, and it's always characteristic here at Le Mans, is the Mulsanne Straight. You've got the 2 chicanes before you head to Mulsanne Corner, coming out of Tetre Rouge. It's about who really winds up the cars to, full capacity. They're going to be at full throttle all the way down every single part of this 3-part straightaway, which used to be flat out all the way down. That's where the majority of the battles are going to be, but we might see some action going through the Porsche curves like we do with the World Endurance Championship, for instance.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say that we're going to see action pretty much anywhere where there's a bit of tarmac. We're going to see overtaking opportunities. I do worry about the chicanes on the Mulsanne Straight. I do think at least one car is going to get sent off to the nether realm tonight. I hope it doesn't happen, but I think that's you're going to see folk trying to be a little bit cheeky on the brakes, trying to play one-upsmanship, and I think someone will get sent to the moon. So lots to look forward to, but I mean, everywhere we look, Mike, I don't envy our producer's job tonight, Alex, because he's going to have his work cut out. There's going to be so much going on, and we're just not going to know where to look.
Yes, it's another evening normally when with other work that we do together, Mr. Christie, especially when we start with something else on March 11th.
Exactly.
But yeah, I think just realistically, let's just let the cars loose and see what happens, because that's where things are going to be rather interesting. And I really would like to say a big thank you to everyone that has watched every single stream all the way through the season over the last 16 weeks. There is some exciting news in the pipeline that we will not mention, but it will become apparent in the next couple of weeks or so on the eTeam BRIT social media channels. But exciting times ahead. But also, I know for a fact that all the drivers from eTeam BRIT and everyone that's here tonight competing is looking forward to one hell of a race. And we mentioned about the conditions. We mentioned about the fact that we had qualifying in the night, and Joonas Raivio put that lap time in. It's going to be one of those things. We're already getting the James Hall, the sporting manager of eTeam BRIT, has already gone. Bradley will win AM. Oh, now this is where it gets interesting.
Everything.
Look at the rooster tails, David. Oh my goodness me.
Well, I'm glad that nowhere in the build-up to that did we say that tonight was going to be a procession or a boring, dull, lifeless race, because it certainly isn't. Look at that. That is... I know it's France, but that makes me feel at home. That's almost Scottish weather, that is.
Well, you know, at the end of the day, it's going to be rather interesting. Okay, let's take you through the starting order for the final time. Round 8 of 8. Amy Roberts just said, who's turned the taps on? Well, we do know that sometimes Le Mans can bring a little bit of different weather, so the drivers will hopefully have been prepared and ready for that. Joonas Raivio starts on pole. Matt Richards alongside. Devin Browner and Sido Via, row 2. Bobby Trundley, Martin Buchan, row 3. Now, I do notice that there is a car missing, possibly. I'm not too sure. But you've got the likes of Martin Buchan, Max Spooner, Christian Kelly. And that was Bobby Trundley saying, I'm on... I think that was, Bobby Trundley, Martin Buchan, Max Spooner, Christian Kelly, Louis Stewart, Ben Brown, David Simon, Stuart Ross French, Alex Buncombe, Bradley Brockies, Luke Pound, Chris Wilson, Haytham Abdelkader, Cami Sturch, Sandro Ballesteros, Dan Blake, Hamish Eisner, Grant Lyman should be on the grid, and Daniel Heyde as well. But the inevitability, and it looks like Grant Lyman has got an issue, but it is now down to these drivers. What is going to transpire over the 2-hour race? 2 mandatory pit stops. Each one must be a minimum of 30 seconds in the pit box. And we are going to literally... So as soon as we go on the Mulsanne straight, we are off and racing, and it is going to be full throttle. Rooster tails ahoy here at Le Mans, the Season 2 finale for the eTeam BRIT GT Challenge. We are ready, we are steady. It is now the case of finding out who is going to put the hammer down first and who is going to get the jump into the first chicane. We are patiently waiting, and just that amount of spray, David, is absolutely biblical.
Oh, it's going to be absolute madness. I mean, 15 seconds to go before we get underway for a 2-hour race. Crazy conditions, Alex. Let's get this going. Biggity, biggity, biggity.
Yeah, as always, trying to do a NASCAR impersonation whenever we go racing in sports cars, does Mr. Christie. But, ladies and gentlemen, we are green, green, green for the final time. It is Allez-y here at Le Mans. And now the drivers put the hammers down. And on this particular occasion, Richards has got the throttle down quicker than Raivio, but you've got Browner and Via just behind, and look at the spray there. This is where things are going to be rather critical in terms of managing the situation, as all the 2 championship protagonists, they have a little bit of it coming together, and Richards comes out on top going through into the first chicane, but Devin Browner now up close and personal behind Joonas Raivio. Sido Via left a little bit in the doldrums. Ben Brown, in the meantime, is battling away. Looks like one of the eTeam BRIT cars. That is Bradley Brockies. The youngster from Kent has now come alive in this final race, and obviously a few people hopefully will see him get a bit of the upper hand in the wet weather conditions. But Ben Brown stretching the legs on that Mercedes. It's getting rather close and personal between the top 4, and we go on board with Devin Browner, and he's going side by side with Joonas Raivio. We were told that this was going to be making it interesting with the CV that the German has. He's definitely giving Joonas Raivio something to think about it, but also the fact that this could prove to be the final nail in the coffin for Joonas Raivio's title aspirations, because Matt Richards now has over an 0.8 of a second advantage as Raivio sends it round the outside of Devin Browner, and that is going through Mulsanne corner. Wow, the Finn had some stones doing that one.
He certainly did. We've got cars spinning off in the background there. Cars kind of really struggling to get into the braking points there, but Browner just absolutely fired it up the inside there. Great move. And this is now all the work to do for Joonas Raivio. Matt Richards is going to be absolutely loving this. But if Browner gets out the way and gets straight into the back of Richards and hunting him down, we could see some real shenanigans going on here.
So Browner goes a little bit wide, and that allows the opportunity. This is going through into Arnage. Raivio all over the back bumper of Brauner. Richard still keeping head, but you then got Sido Via. Alex Bunkum's dropped all the way down to 16th position. Looks like there was a multi-car incident a little bit further back behind the leaders. Was in the picture-in-picture on board with Bobby Trundley. He's just under 3 seconds behind Sido Via. And Martin Buchan still rounds out the top 6. Christian Kelly rounds out the top 7. And Bradley Brockies continues to lead in the AM category. And the funny thing is, Christian Kelly, look, he's literally going on pure instinct because those rooster tails are compromising everybody's visibilities. But one of the biggest things here, David, it is sunny. And what does that mean with the sun? As soon as this water gets dispersed, we're going to have a dry racing line, and some cars will start to improve on lap times. Whereas if you're behind somebody else and there's a massive waft of spray, even in a sports car, you are going to have sometimes difficulty measuring your braking opportunity, where the braking zone is, where the apex is there a big sausage curb, what's going to happen there?
Well, that's all going to be found out in the next sort of 15-20 minutes, I think. I think it will dry quickly once the rain stops, once the water starts clearing, once the heat starts getting into that track. But Raivio, my eyes are really absolutely fixed to him right now, because Brown was starting to build up a bit of a gap up there in second place. That's all come back down now. He's now starting to close that back up. He's on the charge again. And Sido Via, who thought his luck was in and he was looking for a podium within the first 5 minutes, that's kind of slipping away just a little bit just now, because Raivio is absolutely charging right now. He's got the bit between his teeth. He's got over that first lap nerves, and he knows exactly how this car is handling. But look at Brown as well. He's got the run on your race leader, so that is going to be down to the Mulsanne Straight.
Yeah, looks like David Simon has really got the bit between the teeth. Obviously, we saw that incident that he had back at Imola going through Pedotella last time out 2 weeks ago. He's challenging Ben Brown. So Cammy Sturch is now the funny thing is that one of the biggest things is there's been a massive incident. Now there's been a massive incident. Not too sure what has happened there, but that has involved multiple cars and rear wings now being now that is. To be honest with you, I think this is in the first 5 minutes of the race. I think the only thing that is more than likely is going to be a full restart. I think that, yeah.
Do you know the great thing about that, Alex, is the fact that there's not the tens and hundreds of thousands of pounds of damage that's involved in that. All we have to do is wave the red flag and get things going again. So, yeah, look, these things happen, and thankfully, I mean, touch wood, it's been a fairly quiet season for things like that. We've had a really, really good run, and we'll get things sorted very, very quickly indeed.
Yeah, one of the other things that we did have, because obviously last year, for people that might remember, round 3 of the season, which ended up with, well, we should have been round 4, but we had an issue with the Montreal circuit. So it is going to be a full restart, I have been informed. Effectively, the biggest problem is that we had a standing start last time. The first start, we had to have a red flag anyway, because there was a multi-car incident going into the Dunlop curves, if memory serves me correctly. So I think we feel it's right that should be fully restarted, and we go back to carte blanche, so to speak, wouldn't you say, David?
Yeah, 100%. But oh my goodness me, that makes things very, very interesting, right? And I'll tell you why. Joonas Raivio, I absolutely guarantee you he will not be making that same mistake again. He will be getting his elbows out, and he will make sure that he absolutely forces Matt Richards to outside the track as much as he possibly can, because he knows once he gets away that he's going to have trouble catching on to him.
Yeah, very much the case. I think it may have been a server issue that has caused all of that, possibly, but looks like things are getting back underway.
Apparently, that was quick.
That was very, very quick indeed. But the biggest thing is obviously we don't want lightning striking twice. But you're spot on with your analysis there, David, that Joonas Raivio will not want to have Matt Richards getting the jump on him going onto the Mulsanne coming out of Tetra Rouge. The thing is that I'm going to say these words very, very carefully, that this is Matt Richards' title to lose.
Yep, I absolutely stand by that. Yeah, I think you're absolutely spot on with that call there. But you know, the car's going in 2x2. It almost makes it worse this time now, because we've seen just how crazy that got. And when I say crazy, I don't mean like everybody crashing everywhere. I mean, they were literally fighting tooth and nail, and it was an awesome race. And now, knowing that that's exactly what we've got on the cards, Alex, it kind of amplifies it a little bit more, doesn't it?
It does. I mean, it gives people a second opportunity, and in many respects, the amount of, I think it's about now just staying calm. You know, these things do happen in sim racing. We all know that. We've had that before, but we'd rather that give people a to start things from the right opportunity. You know, we've got just over 70 seconds until the race restarts fully, and we're going to do exactly the same type of restart there. So this is where it all counts, and if things get past the first 5 minutes, then things are going really, really well. And then it's about just getting into a rhythm, just getting into a zone, concentrating on your race, figuring out what you need to do in order to get ahead of the opposition. And then there's those at the back of the field that are going to go, well, what do I need to do to move forward and compete and go for that title and capitalize on any unforced errors or mistakes that somebody that is close competition might make.
We're about to find in the first 30 seconds. I'm just looking as well. I think Raivio's actually quite unlucky on this one, because when you think about it, turn one on this is going to be that chicane. It's a right, left, right. So essentially, if Richards gets the start alongside Raivio, he's going to have the inside line for turn one.
Yeah, so we've got 22 cars. We won't have Grant Lyman competing. It looks like he's had an issue. But on this particular occasion, wait for what happens now. I think we're just waiting to see what goes on here, because now they've started going, and this time Raivio's got the start that he needed. And on that particular occasion, the drivers now, Max Spooner going side by side with Louis Stewart. You've nearly got about 3 abreast. Just behind them, there's the Rooster Tails. Now that's the Zansho Simsport car that's just been hit from behind. I think that was Sido Fire, and Louis Stewart right up the back bumper. That is confirmed. So Joonas, the likes of Raivio, Richards, and now Devin Palmer. That means Bobby Trumley's up into P4. I'm sure for a fact that Louis Stewart will be investigated on account of that one. That was, I think he just outbraked himself going into the first chicane, but as now Martin Buchan has got past the number 13 Green Machine Motorsport car, but Joonas Raivio has got the initial advantage, but Matt Richards not letting him breathe.
Yeah, he made a big mistake on that second chicane there. That's allowed Richards to catch right back up, but Brown is going to play a factor in this as well, because we saw the pace that he had on the initial start there, as we see Richard tucked right into the slipstream there of Joonas Raivio. Tries to make a move up the inside, thinks better of it, but that's possibly mind games to try and make Raivio later on the brakes there. Gets a good run out, but I think Richard's got slightly better run out of that corner there. Again, Brown just looking very, very menacing in the background. However, despite that one incident we've had, this is already a cleaner start than we had the first time.
Yeah, but one of the biggest things that I noticed was I saw the other Rocket eSports car of Alex Buncombe literally pull alongside. I think it was row 2.
Was that at the start?
That was right at the start. Because
I don't think he was in the wrong for that. I think they would have been briefed to go at the 2 hour mark, and he'd thought, right, I'm going to do that, and yeah, that's exactly what they were supposed to do.
Okay. Thanks to Jan van der Heyde saying, we gave the wrong info regarding the start procedure. Jan, thank you very much for that info. Sean King, he said that that Ben Brown's got some damage on the car as a result of an incident involving him and Alex Buncombe, which with these Rooster Tails we weren't able to see, but we've got to just sort of see how things transpire. Ben Brown is actually down in 13th overall, but at the moment leading AM, it is Stuart Ross French, who's up into 9th place ahead of Max Spooner in 10th on the road. But it's still very, very sunny here. Oh my goodness. And you know what, Matt Richards, I've just seen him go sideways. I think he just caught the wall. So Max Spooner had a bit of a oh no, moment for David Simon coming out of the Porsche curves. Oh, the car's done a 720. David Simon, I don't know what happened there. Now, the thing was, right behind him, I think might have been Bradley Brock. He's not 100% sure, because even here on commentary, we're not able to see absolutely everything because of the amount of spray. And Sido Vaya is making literally a scything comeback. And David, with just over 3.5 minutes into this race, dry line starting to appear, the rooster tail starting to diminish somewhat.
Yeah, and quite quickly, I wanted to pick up on something. Your gut instinct was absolutely right about Matt Richards. He did have that car sideways, but it's because, and again, this is what I said before, Matt Richards is his own worst enemy. He is overdriving that car right now. He's pushing too hard to try and catch up with Joonas Raivio, and look at what's happening. Instead, it's now Brown that's catching up with him because he's slower by quite margin, and Sandro Ballesteros doing a little bit of lawn mowing, it looks like there.
He's lost his rear wing as well, but now Devin Palmer closing on Matt Richards, and this is where things could get rather interesting, because if Devin, if look at it from this perspective, first place is 50 points, second place is 40. Palmer up the inside of Richards now for P2 through the first chicane on the Mulsanne straight. So looking at it from this perspective, Joonas Raivio 180. You then put Matt Richards in there. Oh my goodness me, 32 points. I did say that Matt Richards, in order to take the title, he doesn't need to win. He needs to stay in third place. But it's even if Joonas Raivio wins or finishes second, that's where the key point is. And if you have a driver that's possibly in fourth position, and that driver is said Bobby Trundley, as Max Spooner and Stuart Ross French going side by side. Just behind them is Ben Brown. Cammy Sturch now up into 17th position, but is a little bit further away from this battle. Ben Brown's ahead of Bradley Brockies, and they go side by side. So do Spooner and also Stuart Ross French. This is getting rather dicey rather quickly as we head through into that. Ben Brown just fighting to stay alive. That's what he's got to do. He's just got to survive this at the moment. But look, it's 3 abreast down the Mulsanne. Mercedes versus 2 McLarens. Make that 3 McLarens. Oh, Stuart Ross French and Bradley Brockies come together. Oh, they take out Ben Brown and Max Spooner. Oh, my goodness me. Someone said incident field. You were spot on the nose with that one, David.
Yeah, I didn't really want to be right about that one though, but never mind. The cars will recover and get themselves on. Yeah, you hate to see it. Thankfully for the Mercedes and the McLaren there, I think that was relatively minor damage that they got because of those cars coming across. I mean, certainly Max is still giving it absolutely big licks right now, trying to hold on to that, but yeah, that will be investigated by Race Control and Max Spooner. Do you know what? Right, this is what I love to see from Max. He is a fast young lad, and he loves being able to be competitive. And tonight, my goodness me, is he feeling a bit racy or what? I mean, top 10, brilliant performance so far, amazing qualifying. Yeah, let's see more of this from Max Spooner. Just a very quick point, Alex, before I throw it back to you. Here's another thing. I've got a funny feeling that Bobby Trundley, once Matt Richards is out of the toe of Browner, if Browner can break that toe from Matt Richards behind him, I think that Bobby Trundley is going to catch him up very quickly indeed. And if Bobby Trundley gets past him, that's going to be a big thing, because obviously that's going to put him ahead of the championship. Martin Buchan has been watching too much Tokyo Drift. What was that all about?
No, it's more like Woking Drift in that McLaren 720 SGT3. My goodness, right coming out of the Porsche curves. But Ben Brown still staying in what is effect. I mean, he's in that prime position. He's leading the AM class. Devin Palmer, in the meantime, has set the fastest lap of the race, 4 minute 2.637 in the number 42 Zansho Simsport car. Ben Brown just trying to fend off Max Spooner, and they're giving each other enough racing room. Boys, this is a 2-hour race, not a 60-minute sprint like we've had all season. Max Spooner looking to try and see if he can get towards the top step. He's not won a race in either Season 1 or Season 2, but he's absolutely lit up the rear tyres. Oh, and there's a bit of contact between the pair of them. That's Sid O'Fire? And Luke Pound just comes in, and there was a rejoin there from Ben Brown. Oh my goodness me! I'm absolutely gobsmacked. I'm absolutely gobsmacked of what's just happened. I think, to be honest with you, for those wondering who's been compiling all the highlight reels this season, again, it's been me. I think this is going to be probably the longest one of the season when I get all the high definition footage, but we still have a 1 hour, 51 minutes and 26 seconds still to go, and things are not over yet. Look at Cammy Sturch. She's just got past Chris Wilson, or trying to get past Chris Wilson. Let's see if we can go on board with the number 5 Radical from Team Fordzilla. Rooster Sails pretty much apparent here on the Mulsanne Straight, and you can just see the visibility is about probably 4 or 5 car lengths ahead before you have to judge your braking zone. And you can just see with the way that Cammy Sturch just approached that rather gently, it was like treading on thin ice, wasn't it?
Yeah, it certainly was, and wow, that was scary stuff. I don't know about you, but I'm getting PTSD watching this on board camera. Imagine how the drivers must feel, because you don't know if it's spray or if it's smoke or if it's contact or what the heck is going on in front. You just have to keep your foot pinned and hope for the best. But yeah, that was I really do want to see them calm down for the next sort of 5 minutes though, although I mean, fair play to Max Spooner. I mean, he is he's given it all the big ones just now.
Yeah, but I think sometimes you can give it all the big ones in the first 10 minutes of the race. You've got to calm it down for the next hour and 50, because one of the biggest things is that when these cars are damaged, the aero efficiency is not as great as what it should be, and that is not a good idea to do that at this particular moment in time, Max Spooner. But you know what? Daniel Heyde started stone dead last. He's now up into, would you believe it, P11.
Yeah, that is a fantastic. To be fair, he's literally just had to keep it pointed in the straight direction to get that one. So great result so far from Daniel Heyde, although you've got to feel it's only going to be a matter of time. Almost 3 wide as Max Spooner is wanting to take this all the way around. There's going to be contact again. Dan Heyde and Max Spooner again, but Max Spooner very lucky to make that one stick. And yeah, this is crazy. I mean, we've said all along it's a 2-hour race. No, it's there's contact at the back. That's 2 cars. They've just almost taken each other out there. Is that Cammy Sturch?
Oh my goodness me, the dramas. And David Simon's already DNF'd after, so we're down to 21 drivers. The thing is that as soon as we get a dry track, the drivers will be able to push. In these incremental conditions, David, the biggest thing from my perspective, as Devin Palmer goes and sets the first, the fastest lap of the race once again, a 4-minute 2.19, Devin Palmer 4-minute 1.906. The thing is that what some of these drivers have done, and I know for a fact that there will be quite a few investigations post-race. And in all honesty, there will be quite a few people, at the end of the day, yes, they are racing drivers, but when you are battling for a championship and it is a 2-hour race, you can say to them until the cows come home, don't go flat out. You're only going to cause not just yourself problems, but also other people. And what has happened? 2 good wrongs do not make a right, is the terminology I'm using right there.
Wow, that was Daniel Heyde going. Sorry, I got completely sidetracked. I did have a point. I was away to make there as we see a battle side by side for the lead. Then this is Devin Brown. And there's contact between Raivio as well. Tries to get the undercut done, but Brown just sticks it right in the apex, says thank you very much, and I think Brown is going to head off. This is not what Raivio wanted, because this now means that the championship points are almost irrelevant right now, because Richards is just one place behind him.
Yeah, I think the thing is that what Raivio's got to do now is effectively look at the toe he's getting from Devin Brauner. It's not over yet, not by a long shot. I mean, when you look at when we saw Richards getting the draw from Van der Heyde at Monza, a month ago, effectively what was happening there was that Richards was right up the back bumper. Haytham Abdelkader I've just seen as DNF'd as well. But yeah, the dry line, as soon as that expands over the entire part, the entirety of the circuit, which may be difficult in the current temperature conditions that we have here at Le Mans, that could make all the difference for a lot of drivers. And to be completely honest with you, with the way things are going, Matt Richards is on his way to the title, provisionally speaking, but we've still got an hour and 46 minutes left to go. Cammy Sturch has got a few more positions to climb, and to be completely honest with you, this could be a race where we could see a drive of a champion, and it's just dependent on how much you're hungry for it, but how precise you have to be. It's going to be a champion's drive. It's got to be clinical, it's got to be precise, and it's not about taking really, let's just say, really big choices that could decide whether you win or lose in that kind of aspect.
Are you listening to that, Max Spinner? Because I hope you are, because it's not about taking those big risks. I mean, God bless him. He's certainly, he is the embodiment of that statement you just made, Alex, about throwing everything in to every single dice. Oh, he's capitalised on a mistake there, and that is Ben Brown going sliding off completely of his own accord, and that has huge championship implications.
That does, because obviously now he's got to wait to rejoin safely, and Cammy Sturch is actually just up ahead of him. Now, one of the things that I will have to do is to tally up the provisional points post-race to find out who will become our Season 2 champions. But in some respects here, this race is far from over. And I'll say this now because we've seen it before on endurance races, and we've seen it before at Le Mans, where the first part of the race is only just part of the story. And now what we will see with mandatory pit stops, some drivers might have already decided to do that. Obviously, if they've lost a rear wing, obviously Stuart Ross French and looks like Sandro Ballesteros there, they've both had a pit stop. Haytham Abdelkader looking like he's showing up in the pits, but it's about how you move forward, how you look to try and get the strategy overhaul on your rivals. That's where the biggest point is here at Le Mans. It's not about going absolutely flat out. It is about strategizing.
Yeah, for a lot of these drivers right now, it's going to be recovery drives. They've maybe not had the best start that they wanted, but again, they've got an hour and 3/4 in very rapidly drying conditions here to make things better for themselves here. But you can see a lot of drivers, they're following that dry line, but as soon as they touch the curbs, there's too much standing water on those curbs, and it just over rotates the car. So they're going to have to watch out with that one. I'm also watching that battle between Richards and Trundley, third and fourth place just now, because Richards was catching up to Raivio quite considerably. That gap's now 1.5 seconds, whereas the gap to Richards and Trundley now is just 9/10 of a second. This is back with Ciro Vire just trying to hunt down the number 14. That's Christian Kelly in the Camsport Fire Mercedes just now. He's going to have the run. So Ciro Vire has had an excellent comeback drive.
What do you mean the chance, David? It might happen. You never know. I mean, to be honest with you, Ciro Vire, he's already within the first sort of 15 minutes of having that moment. Dan Blake's in the pits now, I believe. Sido Vaya's come all the way back from 19th to 8th position. That's an 11 position gain in around about 15 minutes time. It just goes to show the caliber of Sido Vaya. That's a reason why he's with a team like Zansho Simsport, as Heyde has just been given a penalty, possibly for track limits infringements. But yeah, you can just see that Sido Vaya, he's just waiting. He's not being rash or completely indecisive as to what move he's going to put on Christian Kelly. He's just going to wait for the right time. And it could take a lap. It could take 2 to 3 laps maybe to wind up to that building of momentum. But also going down the Mulsanne Straight is the perfect opportunity where drivers can use the slipstream, and also going through here from Mulsanne to Indianapolis. That's another perfect opportunity where if you get the really good run on the driver in front, you can get past them.
I'm just actually looking at this track and I'm wondering about tyre choices, because do you think the drivers will be on wets, or do you think they'll be on slick and just trying to negotiate their way around the track?
I think it's about survival in the first sort of 20 or so. The way that this track is sort of evolving, and it could be evolving rather rapidly, but one of the biggest things that we have now, we did say that there were twists and tails tonight, just like the one at Le Mans back last season. Looks like the sun is fading into the sunset, as there is, as I said, Sido Vaya, he was just waiting. Christian Kelly moved over, well, didn't exactly move over, but the thing was Sido Vaya had enough momentum carry to get himself past the Mercedes AMG. And that's where things get rather interesting. You said about Bobby Trundley. Now, Bobby Trundley is looking to run his own race. As we've had another DNF, and this time it's from Daniel Heyde. So we've had 3 of the 22 drivers now, as Devin Brown is getting closer and closer to that sub 4 minute second barrier on a lap. He's now got a 4.6 second gap ahead of Joonas Raivio. So I think the thing that we've got to remember here, David, is that even with the colder conditions, if there's no rain, these tyres will be... So we're going to go to a replay here. Now, this is from earlier on now. Now, I don't know what happened there for Cami Sturch, but I'm wondering, now, was that the fact that I'm not too sure, were drivers on slicks? In some respects, I think Christian probably just, Cami there was having a bit of a moment, not a moment, but I think just probably if you're on intermediates, if there is that affordability here on R-Factor 2, yeah, I think there was just an outbreak, wasn't it?
That was a bit of a weird one, because it looks like the car behind just let them go, and then Cami wasn't able to make the corner, went straight on, and the other car just turned into them. So yeah, very, very strange one.
So the darkness now coming here at Le Mans, and there is Sido Vaya now up to P7, and it did look like that Christian Kelly did actually let him through with rather quick ease. But the thing is that Christian Kelly's trying to do his best to close up to close up to maybe Martin Buchan, who I believe is a little bit further up the road. Martin Buchan currently P5. But this is where things get really, really interesting. Look at how close Bobby Trundley is now on Matt Richards, and look, he started flashing lights. Oh, he's not racy, is Bobby Trundley at all?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the turbo boost button that he's got mapped out there for pressing that. I mean, look at it, he's straight on the toe, and he's going to try and make the move, but thinks better of it. But this is all putting Richards under pressure. What have I kept saying? Matt Richards under pressure is unstable. He can and has cracked before. This is all allowing Raivio to get a bit of clear air, but let's face it, nobody's catching Brown, not with that pace.
No, not at all. Not at all. Just looking at the way things are standing at the moment, mainly in AM, because I'm just keeping an eye on the timing. In some respects, this could be getting rather too. Oh, now move and a half there from Bobby Trundley, and that was going through the entrance into Arnage there, coming out of Indianapolis. That was epic stuff from Bobby Trundley. Now, this is one of his bucket list tracks that he wants to compete at in the future. And Team Brits Team Brit have actually raced at Le Mans before on the Aston Martin Festival a couple of years or so ago. So it's a track that Bobby Trundley wants to compete at in the future with the team that he's currently with. He joined Team Brit back in 2019. But Matt Richards now, in some respects here, this is where things get rather interesting. Now, who is the driver? So Matt Richards is about 8 or so seconds up the road from Martin Buchan, and there is a radical just up ahead. I'm not too sure who that is. That could be Dan Blake. That is the case. So back marker traffic now coming into play here at Le Mans, and that's another factor, David, that these drivers have to contend with.
It certainly is, and how glorious does this look? R Factor 2, easily one of the best looking sims at night time. But that means that Bobby Trundley's got the run on Joonas Raivio already, and that is absolutely incredible. How has he just done that? Bobby Trundley wearing a mask has just absolutely robbed Joonas Raivio there. Call the police.
Sorry, I just had to laugh at your song lyric choice right then, David.
Call the cops. That is honestly Bobby Trundley, right? We like having a joke and a giggle about him through the season because he loves throwing it about and just getting leery with the car. But I mean, come on, that is just pure blooming talent right there. I'm just really impressed with Bobby. Driver of the day so far right now, and we're only 25 minutes in.
Yeah, so with these drivers, now we mentioned earlier on that the drivers are the ones that have to make the call on the strategy tonight here on the second, on the season finale of season 2. And that's where it's going to be rather interesting, because you could see some drivers. Now, Bobby Trundley said to me that he could probably get 45 minutes out of a full tank of fuel. So if you go for the full 45, do another full stint on high fuel, and then you have half an hour left. The thing is, that's going to give some drivers maybe an opportunity, and it also depends on what the fuel consumption per lap is. And sometimes drivers will use the odd occasional lift and coast, won't they?
Again, yeah, 100%. It all comes into strategy, it all comes into fuel saving, and every little bit that you can help stretch out over the course of the 2 hours could massively help you. But the thing with lifting and coasting is that, unless you're doing it at regular intervals every single lap, it's difficult to plan for the difference that's going to make. If you're able to save 1 or 2 more laps worth of fuel, though, it gives you so many more options, Alex, when it comes to when everyone else is pitting.
Yeah, very much the case. And now the battle for 2nd, 3rd and 4th very much quite clearly on here. So Trundley ahead of the 2 Rocket eSports cars of Raivio and Richards, whilst Devin Browner is away by about 6 seconds. Alex Buncombe now closing in on Christian Kelly and goes up the inside into the chicane. It wasn't the chicane, that would have been Mulsanne corner there. So at the end of the day, that was a good move from Alex Buncombe. I think Christian Kelly just knew that Buncombe had the pace on him and decided, well, I'm going to step out of the way, just let him go through, don't want any trouble, want to just keep on running my own race. And that's what a lot of drivers are doing. Louis Stewart currently showing in P9 ahead of Luke Pound, who leads the AM class ahead of Max Spooner. Chris Wilson 3rd in AM, 12th on the road, and is 3.1, well, about a couple of seconds ahead of Cammy Sturchers. Oh, Richards looking racy as Raivio coming under pressure. This is going through the exit of the Porsche curves, and the Corvettes are nearly side by side. But Raivio keeps ahead for the moment with just under half an hour of this 2-hour race completed. Oh my goodness, that was close. That was going in towards the Porsche curves, but massive bravery from the pair of them to keep it that well planted.
I think bravery could be changed for many other words, Alex, that are not usable at this point in time. But yeah, what a race we've got now. And I know, obviously, the first 10 minutes were a bit wild, but I mean, now we're starting to get a race on our hands. Look at Devin Brown. I mean, where has he come from? We obviously, you've spoken about the pedigree he had before the race, Alex, but I mean, this is just otherworldly right now.
Well, Ed Trevelyan-Johnson did say to me, he said, Devin's going to make it interesting. Well, he certainly has tonight, as he's got nearly a 6.8 second lead over Bobby Trundley, who rounds out the top two. Joonas Raivio, Matt Richards, that's your top four overall. Martin Buchan doing a great job in 5th place at the moment. Sid Elvire now up into 6th place and is closing. So Alex Buncombe looks to be taking his first mandatory pit stop just before the half-hour mark, it looks like. So he's in the pits at the minute. Louis Stewart, Luke Pound now round out the top 9 positions. So you can see that the timer on the left-hand side of, the top right of the windscreen is counting how many seconds the car was in the pits. And in quite a few respects, it can sometimes depend. Now, Buncombe's nearly hit 30 seconds on the pit stop phase. Now he's exceeded that, which is fine. Cammy Sturch now closing in. That looks to be Ben Brown just up ahead in terms of the positioning, which is the case. So they're now going to be very shortly heading through in towards Tetra Rouge to go back onto the main straightaways. And Cammy Sturch is closing on the AM class leader. So we do have champions to crown and pro AM and also the teams.
I think it might be the other way about, Alex, because if you remember, Ben Brown did have that incident, was facing the wrong way, and Cammy Sturch actually went past him. So that position's obviously been reversed, but it'll be interesting to see as we see. Is that bump drafting we've got going on along the Mulsanne Straight?
Well, if you want to call it bump drafting, I think he was just getting a bit more of a toe there. He was like literally sticking his nose, sticking the front bumper of that Corvette along with, pretty much up close and personal with the exhaust pipes on the Corvette of Raivio. So they were literally lying astern. You couldn't even put an A4 sheet of paper in between them, as we have got a yellow in Sector 2. Alex Buncombe, I've just seen, has been... That could be a drive-through for... That could be speeding in the pit lane for Alex Buncombe. Not what you want to do here at Le Mans, but the battle between these two, Raivio and Richards, not in no word of a lie here, David. It is not, that fire is not being dampened. It's only being stoked a little bit higher, like a barbecue smoker at the minute.
It's a difficult one, right? Because if I was Matt Richards, I would be starting to take it easy. I've done everything that I need to do. As long if things stay the way they are and Richard stays in 4th, he wins a championship. So he doesn't need to keep pushing. And as we've said before, when he pushes and he overdrives the car, that's when it starts to have bad things happening. As that looks like Alex Buncombe has just retired from the race instead, as you see Joonas Raivio making a mistake instead then under that pressure from Matt Richards. And again, look at how much he's having to overdrive that car and really trying to wring the neck out of it. I wonder if Raivio is starting to struggle a little bit with the grip on that thing.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that when you're pushing that hard, and then also the amount of stepping...
Hang on, what's happened to Bobby Trundley?
Oh,
he's now down into 6th place.
Well, that's very, very strange. Okay, I think, look.
Oh.
Now, that's rather interesting because that was going into... So he's gone into the pits, but there was a little bit of... there was definitely that a sign of that McLaren going into the gravel. So I don't know whether Bobby Trundley's had a bit of a moment coming towards the pit lane entrance. So I'm sure that our broadcast director, Mike Yao, will find out the cause. So here is the replay. Now this is where we're going to see, the back end stepped out, and it's going into the Porsche curves, and that was definitely plenty of Woking drift. No, it's a Woking spin. backwards over the gravel, and the car, that could have enough momentum to throw into the barriers. There we go, left side.
That is a huge hit on that left-hand side there, so that is going to be some substantial damage potentially, and that'll explain why he wasn't able to make that corner.
And Bobby's just put in the chat, it is what it is. I dropped it. Well, at least the main thing, Bobby is always honest. But he's in the pits. I think there might be some damage repair going on for the left side of that car, to be completely honest with you.
If nothing else, Alex, it's damn good entertainment from Bobby Trundley. I mean, I'm still exceptionally proud of those last 3 laps. Those were absolutely awesome. A masterclass in how to overtake. Meanwhile, we're getting a masterclass on how you absolutely stomp the throat of a race from Devin Brown, the Zansho Simsport super sub himself. Really showing what for, as we couldn't get Jan van der Heyde into the final race of the season with the connection problems on his end. And I think he's going to be regretting that one, because Devin Brown showing exactly how it's done. But back to these two, Matt Richards and Joonas Raivio. And again, Richards pushing Raivio, but he doesn't really need to at this point.
No, he doesn't. He just needs to stay where he is, because then he's got the job done. Raivio has got to go all guns blazing in terms of strategy. He doesn't need to necessarily be... He needs to stay ahead of Matt Richards, but he needs to be more, if not more, consistent than Matt Richards to win this title. And that's where Richards has proved... Okay, I remember you saying at Mount Panorama that sometimes he can be his own worst enemy. He can push too hard. But now I think he's got into his rhythm. And now that he knows that Joonas is ahead of him, he now knows I've got everything going right for me at this particular moment in time.
I absolutely agree with you. I'm thinking about Raivio just now, and I've got to be honest, if I'm thinking about the championship for Raivio, I'd be dropping behind Matt Richards deliberately, knowing that I've got the pace to keep on with him, and just pushing him further than he's comfortable with. Because at the moment, second place is useless for Raivio. It's a great place for obviously the Le Mans finish and on its own merits and everything like that, but championship wise it's next to useless for him. The points are too big between second and third place. He needs to get 22 points to win the championship over Matt Richards, and at this point in time he's just not getting them.
Yeah, and we still have plenty of this story still to tell. 1 hour 24 minutes and 30 seconds still to get. Devin Brown is just absolutely lighting up the timesheets purple. A 3-minute 58.983. He's absolutely fine. That gap is now 9.7 seconds. Cammy Sturch is closing up. Well, this is where things get a little bit interesting here, David. Okay, so Luke Pound is currently leading in the AM class in 8th place. He's ahead of Max Spooner by about 4 seconds. Then it's about 16 or so back to Chris Wilson. Then it's Ben Brown. Then it's Cammy Sturch. That's the top 5 in AM. Things are getting rather interesting, and it's about who's going to take the advantage. Now, from my perspective, say for instance, Ben Brown was to get 26 points to finish 4th in AM, and Cammy Sturch, all right, takes 2nd place. Just hypothetically speaking, that puts them on 155 points each, which would then go to count back on the basis of 3 race victories. Ben Brown would win the title. However, if it was the case that Cammy Sturch took the complete victory and Ben Brown took 3rd, 165 to 161 in the favour of Cammy Sturch. So there are so many different permutations that can happen tonight, and with the amount of time that's still in this race, there's still many more chapters to be written, I'm sure.
Absolutely. An hour and 20 minutes left to go. We've Who's it that there's a commentator that I really like? What's it he says? It's you ain't seen nothing yet or something like that.
Hey, stop stealing my line.
I did say it was a different. It was another commentator. This battle between Raivio and Richards is. I think Raivio knows it's done right now. He's just pushing as hard as he can. Richards, good on him, just keeping the pressure there, not trying to force the move. He's just sticking to the tail of Raivio, and that's really all he needs to do right now. Is Raivio makes a mistake under pressure from Richards. Richards has got the increased momentum right now for the Rocket eSports. Team. I wouldn't say team orders, but team respect and team friendliness is going to have to come into it. Looking out for your teammate at the end of the day. It doesn't look too good for your sponsors if you're knocking each other off of the park just now, but mistakes happen. And Richards looks like he's got the toe, but again, you see he just dips out of it and allows Raivio to continue soaking up that pressure, Alex.
You know what's the interesting thing? Matt Richards has gone faster than anybody in both Sector 1 and Sector 2. That toe is helping him out no end. He did a 37.021 as Hamish Eisner has put it into the barriers. That is, I think, going into the Porsche curves, I believe. So the number 30 from eTeam BRIT 2 will probably bring that into the pit lane. Sandro Ballesteros in for a pit stop at the minute, but everyone outside of the top 12, well, everyone in the top 12 have yet to make a pit stop, and I would think that Hamish Eisner closing down on Stuart Ross French, takes a bit too much inside curve going through, and the front end's going to hit the barriers just on the right hand side of the car. It's been a bit of a learning experience, but with drivers like Hamish who can come back, and sort of learn from these moments where you take a bit too much curb and everything. Matt Richards, I'm interested to see what his lap time is, because Devin Palmer is under the 3-minute 59.
Brown's in the pits.
Brown's in the pits. Okay, so Matt Richards has put in a 3-minute 58.833. Joonas isn't. Those first two sectors for Matt Richards really helped him. Stuart Ross French now in the pits. This is where things start to change. Max Spooner doing a very good job in 6th position. He's leading the AM class at the moment, closing on Christian Kelly in the number 14. So Spooner is about 1.1 seconds off of the Mercedes-AMG GT3. And one of the big characteristics we see here is that Mercedes is very much nose heavy. So down the straights, it's pretty good with the grunt from the 6.2 atmospheric V8 engine. But then the 4-litre turbocharged V8 of the McLaren is mid-mounted with rear-wheel drive. Seems to have a bit more of the advantage in the twisty stuff, but that was a lot of sausage curb taken there by Max Spooner.
Yeah, that's not going to do the handling of the car any good. It's all been, precision engineered by experts, and he's taken it over sausage curbs. Yeah. Just got some rather obscure messages blethered to us by our lovely race producer here, but I'm not going to repeat them, ladies and gentlemen, because do you know what, out there, audience, you're better than that.
Yes, very true. A real shame to hear. Haytham Abdelkader has said that the server unfortunately kicked him out. That's a real shame. Haytham, thank you very much for being a part of this championship. It's been a real pleasure having you in one of the only Aston Martins actually in the field. There's Bradley Brockies in 11th position. Now, one of the things here that I've noticed, David, is that it's still not, okay, there is a dry line showing, but it's not dry. I did say this earlier, didn't I? That even though the conditions are colder, there is no rainfall. When you get colder conditions in a damp track, the damp track is not going to go away unless the sun comes out and starts beaming down on the track, and then you're going to get better lap times.
Yeah, and again, it's all about getting that heat into the track, getting that heat into the tyres and the ambient temperature as well, as we see Matt Richards and Joonas Raivio almost side by side again. One thing I did notice though as well was the fact that Browne, actually his pit stop was around about 45 seconds. So I'm wondering, was he repairing damage, or did he just decide to try and take extra fuel in?
Could be the case. I mean, just depends on obviously what strategy he's put in and what the team have decided. With Sidorvar, he's currently in P4, but Cami Sturch has now decided to pit from position. Bobby Trundley, where on earth did that lap come from? A 3-minute 58.425. That was over 4/10 quicker than Matt Richards. So, ladies and gentlemen, he's back.
He certainly is, and yeah, this is a bit wobbly now, isn't it? Martin Buchan, though, I mean, he's firing in the lap times as well. That gap was around about 16 seconds. That's now down to 12 seconds between first, second, and third, Alex.
Mm-hmm. As Martin makes his way out of the Porsche curves. So he's looking to get the jump on Christian Kelly, who's a couple of positions behind, but is more to the detriment of 52 seconds behind the number 3 pink McLaren with the Scottish flag on there. Matt Richards now jumps into the pits on this particular occasion. So what the conclusion would be, Joonas Raivio now fires in the fastest lap of the race, 3-minute 58.245. Martin Buchan, just like Max Spooner a lap ago or so, was also riding the sausage curve a bit too vigorously, is the terminology I'm going to be using there, because it's not easy, especially when you're trying to spot your braking point going into the forward chicane. As Bobby Trundley now closing in on one of the radicals. I think that could be Dan Blake. That will be Dan Blake just up ahead, I believe. Hang on a second. Let me just have a look. That could actually be that's Cami Sturch. So we saw the very, very gentlemanly thing that Bobby did when Cami actually took the victory at Imola 2 weeks ago. So Cami Sturch, after 7 attempts, managed to get her first victory in the AM category here on the eTeam BRIT GT Challenge. And I know that everyone at Team Fordzilla will be cheering her on this evening, as we are fast approaching about 15 minutes away from the completion of the first 60 minutes of this race. And Cami Sturch actually had a moment, and that was going through Mulsanne corner. However, that has not hurt her in terms of any points that she will be able to accrue, because at the moment Ben Brown is currently third, which would net him 32 points. Cami Sturch is currently in 5th position in AM, which would net her 22, and that would mean that Ben Brown would provisionally secure the title by 24 points at the end of this race. But as they say, nothing's over until the checkered flag falls, as Devin Palmer now closing in on Max Spooner. Spooner has definitely been out for a very, very long time indeed in that McLaren. I'm not too sure now. Has he actually pitted? No, he has not. So Devin Palmer now going side by side with Max Spooner. Spooner, I think, is probably just better off to let the number 42 from Zansho Simsport pass. Which is what
good luck with that. That's not going to happen. This is Max. Oh, well, no, actually, to be fair, yeah, he did back out of that there. But I was going to say, Devin Brown's had it easy up until now. He's not had to face the immovable object that is Max Spooner. But to be fair, Max was really, really good there in recognising the situation. Do you know what, Luke Pound? That is so much bling on that car. That is so shiny. It's like somebody's dipped it in some metallic paint. And
no,
just,
it's like a rap from Yanimais.
Yeah. I'll give you that.
It is.
Oh, look at you being down with the kids, Mr. YouTube.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is have they done the shuts and returns on the doors? Saving money on a paint job, wouldn't it? Eerie silence there from Mr. Christie. But in many respects, Luke Pound showing that he is capable of battling with the drivers in AM. Joined us a couple of rounds ago and has been enjoying getting back behind the wheel. He's also one of the drivers that actually is with Team BRIT. And he's making his way down the Mulsanne straightaway. We'll see how he gets on. So 1 hour, 12 minutes and 48 seconds still to go on the clock here on the Season 2 eTeam BRIT GT finale here at Le Mans with Alex Goldschmidt and David Christie, your commentators, and have been for the last couple of seasons. So yellow in sector 3, and not too sure who that was quite there, but that was quite quickly retracted. But David, the twists and tails in this race here at Le Mans, no one knows what's going to happen, do they?
Well, that's absolutely the point. And what I would say, Alex, is now is a great time if you need to take a breath, because it looks like we've got a little bit of a calm as we get the pit stop cycling through and the cars start to circulate amongst themselves. Now, another interesting point here is that Devin Brown, although he's been so dominantly fast, remember, he's been in clear air. He's had nobody in front of him. He's now got several cars in front of him that are, on paper, considerably slower than he is right now. That's all very well, but that doesn't mean that he's going to be able to get past them without them causing him some delay. And remember, they're fighting for position. They've got absolutely no reason to duck out the way.
Yeah, so it's going to be a case of just how quickly. But one of the things is in the pit stop phase, Matt Richards actually, hang on a second, Matt Richards jumped Devin Brauner in there, and Devin Brauner just puts in a 3:57.8. Wow. The closest person to that at the moment is Joonas Raivio, then it's Bobby Trundley, then it's Matt Richards, and then Sid Elvira in there as well. Martin Buchan's been running in the 3:59s. My goodness me.
Alex, my head is melted at that, because let me just put that into perspective, right? Yeah. Matt Richards stopped for 13 seconds in the pit box and then drove off. Maybe not then. It was more. I was reading the right hand side. Sorry, he was in for 34 seconds. Mm-hmm. But Brown was in for, I think it was about 74 seconds. So he's got much more fuel in that car, and he's still absolutely hammering in the lap times.
And he's just gone purple in sector 1 again. That man's a machine. Devin Brauner, that's, he's the only driver, I think, that has gone under 37 seconds. He's up by 2.5 tenths in sector 1. Can someone get me a defibrillator, because I need to have it on standby just in case. Thank you. Yeah,
he is a machine right now. But look, again, Richards is 30 seconds or 26 seconds ahead of him right now. I mean, unless Devin is thinking of a completely different strategy, as Louis Stewart goes, wow, that is some detour. I don't think I've ever seen a car go that far up Dunlop.
Well, at least it wasn't the other side like Alan McNish had in 2011 whilst going for the lead in hour 3. Was definitely not a moment that you want to have going through, into the approach into the Dunlop Bridge. And during the night, that's pretty much quite a blind part of the circuit as well, because when you come out of the pits, you're literally flooring it. You're going up an incline. It's not easy at all.
It really isn't. And I mean, it's just tantamount to how risky this race is for these drivers. The track is so incredibly high speeds. I mean, remember that the original Le Mans didn't have the chicanes on the Mulsanne Straight. It was just a flat-out section of roads, and the cars were actually too fast, and they had to put them in for the driver's own safety.
Yeah, very true. I mean, but even though, you remember when the Sauber Mercedes cars, especially with Mark, where has Joonas Raivio got his porridge from? Obviously from the depths of icy Finland at the moment, but that's a 3:57.6. Wow, thought Devin Brauner was quick. Raivio's has come out of there and literally gone, hold my beer.
Yeah, Devin Brown's going to take fastest lap, I'm absolutely convinced, when he comes across the line in about 20 seconds time. And I think it's possibly going to be a 3:56 if this pace holds up. I mean, he is about 2 tenths per sect. Well, maybe not that much, but yeah, I do think Devin's going to take fastest lap when he crosses the line.
Oh my goodness me. And now things are getting a little bit lighter. We've gone through the day, into the night time, and then back into the daytime once again, just to give the drivers a full idea. And now the biggest thing is that these times they will tumble quite substantially as Daniel Heyde has a bit of a moment going through Mulsanne. And now we'll head down towards Indianapolis, but Hamish Easton's now in the pits. Martin Buchan's gone into the pits. Devin Browner did a 3:58 on that particular occasion, a 3:58.3. But yeah, you can definitely sense that some drivers are really, really pushing like crazy. And when you think about it, David, Christian Kelly's only 4.5 seconds, 5 seconds behind, but Buchan and Spooner have now gone into the pits, so that's going to change a bit more complexity, and that means that the drivers in the top 5 that have yet to pit are as follows: Joonas Raivio, Cedar Vaya, and Christian Kelly. And look, they're all starting to come in just before the halfway mark. I think there's going to be, the thing is that if they've left it that long for one pit stop, the beauty of this is that if they come in, they don't need to put so much fuel. If they've put in like a full tank of fuel, Spooner's pitted for over 40 seconds now, they're not going to have to worry about putting that much fuel in the car on the second and final pit stop. And that's where things could be rather interesting towards the end of the race.
Yeah, they certainly can. My little heart stopped there because I was looking at the live timing and seeing that Joonas Raivio, the gap was coming down massively, but it's just a little blip on the live timing, because looking at the timing on the screen there, that's exactly what it should be. So yeah, that was a little bit of a heart and mouth moment there. But Joonas Raivio and Ciro Vire, very different strategy to everyone else right now, Alex, is Matt Richards still trying to hang on, but I've got to be honest, I think Joonas is doing what he needs to do because he's faster than Devin Brown. So Devin can't make up that gap that was taken out in the pit stops anyway. All Joonas needs to do is a little splash and dash here, and save it until he needs to put some big fuel in the car and then get the laps in. But also remember, as the dry line appears, that also explains why these cars are getting much faster.
Yeah, very true indeed. And that's where it can all make the difference. Some cars will start to really push forward and get the opportunities they needed in some respects. So yeah, your guess is as good as mine, David, as to what is going to happen over the next hour and 4 minutes and 30 seconds or so of this race. I seriously cannot believe how these drivers have entertained us over the last 16 weeks. I've had a chance in the preview shows to have a talk with a few of them. A big thank you to all that took part in the preview show, and also for those watching. And there is Cammy Sturch in the number 5 Radical RXC GT3.
Raivio's into the pits.
Oh, okay. So Cedar Vire is coming towards the start-finish line, I think, at the moment, David.
Yeah, and it looks like he's staying out then. So Raivio into the pits, and it was the two different numbers that was confusing me on the pit stop there. As Raivio's still in, so Raivio again, maybe he's wanting to do the full fuel and possibly wanting to try and do the overcut once he gets that done and do a splash and dash at the end.
Yeah, looks like it's a track limits penalty for Sandro Ballesteros, as there is Cedar Vire now going underneath the Dunlop Bridge. There's Bobby Trundley in the number 68 McLaren 720S GT3. Now he's going to be getting onto the brakes, going into the right-hander. And that is Ben Brown going down the Mulsanne. Devin Browner, oh my goodness me, puts in, that's 0.13 exactly quicker than Joonas Raivio. As Ben Brown still is currently at the moment P3 in AM at this particular moment in time, whilst Luke Pound, well, actually no, make him second actually, because Luke Pound is leading the way in the AM club. No, he's not. Sorry, my apologies here. Max Spooner and Chris Wilson They have done a pit stop each, and they are both 7th and 8th respectively. Now, this is where it gets interesting, because Max Spooner is currently... This could change where he ends up in the championship table at the end of all of this. So, I'm going to look at it from this perspective. So, Max Spooner, Chris Wilson, then it is Luke Pound, who would be in 3rd place if the race was to finish right now. Ben Brown would be 4th. Oh, and Hamish Easner's car is definitely not looking that healthy at all. Yeah, Ben Brown would still finish ahead of Cammy Sturch, and that car is that's definitely crabbing right there, David, wouldn't you say?
I'm sure it'll be fine. Oh well, maybe it's fine. It's fine. You know, I'm sure. You know, just take it to the garage. You know, get the guys to look at it. There's nothing wrong with it. That's yeah, it's factory fresh.
Yeah, I mean, oh my goodness me! Well, Chris Wilson's just come into the pit lane. Kudos.
Oh no! Can he get it? Is there going to be enough lock? Yeah, he will get it. That's unfortunate.
Kudos for style points on trying to enter the pit lane sideways. My goodness me, Hamish Easner. That was definitely grabbing like a good one. To be honest with you, for him to get to the pits after that stylish entrance, bravo is the terminology I can use right now.
I've heard of custom airbags on your suspension, but I think that's taken a little bit too far. But
that's definitely not a lowrider McLaren special. I can tell you that now.
that's a heap of junk.
Oh my goodness me, Devin Palmer, he is getting closer and closer to try and break that 3-minute 56-second barrier. He's up in set. Look how far up. 1.325 seconds in sector. Look, like literally, this track is getting drier. If it's 1.6 seconds he's up by, that's going to be in the 355s. That could be in the 355s rather easily there, David.
100%. That's wild from Brown. But if he's able to get this pace out of the car, why aren't the other drivers able to get the pace? So where's Matt Richards right now? Keep an eye on Joonas Raivio. I think he'll be able to get that similar sort of pace. But again, 25 seconds between Richards and Brown. That means in about sort of 20 laps or so, Brown is going to be putting big pressure on Richards, who now takes the lead of the race as Ciro Vire jumps into pit lane. But Brown is looking absolutely devastating in this Callaway Corvette through the final couple of corners here. And yeah, this has been a supreme lap. And again, it goes back to saying you have to hustle these cars. 356, 674. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We have just checked in for takeoff.
Yeah, here comes the Devin Brown train as Christian Kelly now brings it into the pits. It looks like there was a penalty being shown for Chris Wilson, possibly for speeding in the pit lane because he'd just gone into the pits, I believe. There's Raivio. So Ciro Vire also in the pits. So that means that at least majority of people have made one mandatory pit stop. We've got just under 1 hour, 58 minutes and 50 seconds still to go in this race. Matt Richards leads on lap number 16 here at Le Mans for the 2-hour double points finale here at the eTeam BRIT GT Challenge season finale for Season 2. Joonas Raivio, who we're with at the moment, he's currently P3. Martin Buchan, your good old countryman, up in 4th place there, David. He's done an absolutely fantastic job here. And there he is coming through the Dunlop curve. Ciro Vire in 5th. Christian Kelly showing still in the pit lane. He has stayed in there for over a minimum 30 seconds. But it's just dependent on how quickly he gets out of the pit lane, because that could mean that Max Spooner, who is currently leading AM at the moment, could end up into P6 very shortly if Christian Kelly gets out of the pits. Louis Stewart in 8th. Luke Pound rounds out the top 2 in AM, ahead of Ben Brown in 10th position, who rounds out the top 3 in the class, ahead of Bobby Trundy, with Cammy Sturch rounding out the top 12.
Well, Alex, Devin Brown, purple sector 1, 36.744. How is it every single lap he's able to just push and push and push?
Your guess is as good as mine. A little bit of a moment there for Martin Buck, and that means he'll get a track warning, a track limit warning there. But yeah, Devin Browner, 20.5 seconds behind Matt Richards, who is doing everything that he needs to do. He's got. I think the thing is that Joonas Raivio has just got to do the mammoth of undercuts or overcuts on Matt Richards to win this race. And if Matt Richards falters, there is every possibility that Joonas Raivio could provisionally pick up the championship this evening.
Now, how does that work then with Brown? Because he's obviously stepping in. So does he count in terms of the driver points then? Would he still stop Raivio, say, taking would Raivio get third place in points, or would he get the second place points?
As far as I'm aware, Devin Browner, because now he's been put in, he effectively scores points in the championship, not
for
just
himself.
For himself,
right,
but
cool.
also this is from my understanding from the regulations. But obviously, I'm waiting for clarification on that. But he does score team points as well. So, in some respects, this I was told that Devin Browner was going to be a very, very interesting dynamic to this race. So far, he has not disappointed.
He certainly hasn't. I mean, it's just been incredible pace. But look at Joonas Raivio. Joonas Raivio firing back with a couple of salvos of his own. He's fastest in Sector 2 right now. So the two of them actually trading lap times right now. The snap oversteer on that Corvette. Be very interesting actually to see the different driving styles if we can at some point go on board with both Brown and with Raivio and show you just how much they have to hustle these Callaway Corvettes around the corner, because with most of the other cars it's all about being as smooth and as precise, but with these cars you have to literally just yank the wheel in, point it, pull the trigger and send it into the corner, and that's what gives you the fast lap times. Then Brian goes cross line 3:56.5. I just don't know what to say. But what can Joonas Raivio do?
Well, no, mon Dieu, my goodness. It's probably the right sort of phrase for about now. Oh my goodness, Joonas Raivio. Hang on a second. Well, what was that?
3:55. 3:55.6 from Joonas.
Wow.
What?
Raivio's hungry. You can tell that right now. Joonas Raivio is hungry.
Looks like meat's back on the menu, boys. Oh, that was a Tokyo drift.
That was definitely super sideways right there. Oh my goodness me. Dan Blake still trying to do... this is actually one of the closest battles on track. Dan Blake actually in the Pro class, Chris Wilson in the AM class. So this is a battle for position on the track, but not for the respective classes that they're in. But things are still rather interesting in terms of YAM classification. I mean, I'm just keeping an eye on some of the lap times for some of the other competitors. I mean, Ben Brown is running in the 4-minute 2.7s. Max Spooner is running the 4:01.5s. Stuart Ross French, I think, has just got a penalty for track limits. This is getting rather interesting. And one of the things that we have to understand here is that the Radical might be turbocharged. It's got a slightly smaller displacement than some of the other vehicles, 3.5 litre turbocharged 6-cylinder engine, producing around 500 brake horsepower. But it still gives a lot of punch for these cars. And if the temperature starts to, if there's a bit of wind pickup or something like that, David, that's going to help. It's going to help the turbocharged engines more than the naturally aspirated engines. And the majority of these cars are all turbocharged.
Yeah, and the great thing about that is that it does kind of lead to an even playing surface, an even playing field, because of the great strides made with the balance of performance, Alex. It really does mean that you can pick up almost anything you like and be competitive, whether that's one of the Corvettes or whether that's one of the McLarens or even, for instance, one of these Radicals.
Yeah, very true. Very, very true indeed. But it is also dependent on who is going to blink first for their second and final pit stop. Who is going to make that decision that could decide one particular place change in this race? We still have plenty of time left to go. Don't forget to follow eTeam BRIT on social media at eTeam BRIT on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as well. If you are watching on the official Simply Racer, we are broadcasting on multiple streams. The Facebook page and also the Twitch page of eTeam BRIT, the Simply Race YouTube channel, as well as the Let's Race Facebook page as well. So hopefully you are all enjoying things. But also that dry line getting a little bit bigger now, David. And the drivers seem to feel that little bit more confident. Times are dropping. Cami Sturch has now come to within 0.4 of a second of her fastest time. And she's
Richard's into the pit as well.
Sorry?
Again, Richard's into the pit again.
Oh, now this is a rather interesting strategy from Matt Richards as Stuart Ross French lets Martin Buchan get by. Obviously not a position. Devin Brauner now retakes the lead on lap number 18 of this race. That car looking rather menacing indeed. Devin Brauner has been the driver that has really put the cat amongst the pigeons here tonight. So yeah, I'm just waiting to see what happens behind him. Devin Brauner has been the most imposing figure this season, let alone who we've got as Stuart Ross French now goes into the pits. Matt Richards has been in there for over 45 seconds. I think he's brimming that tank. And now Martin Buchan will take P3 as he gets past Dan Blake on the main straightaway here at Le Mans.
Yeah, that's exactly what he did. If you remember, Matt Richards actually had a very short stop, still just over the 30 seconds, but it was obviously a splash and dash compared to the stop that he's just done just now. And that's obviously him getting out of the way, whereas Brown and Raivio have done it the opposite way about. They took their long stops first and then still somehow, God knows how, managed to fire out those incredible laps. So they've got the pace right now.
Yeah, I mean, Joonas is up. Oh, Joonas Raivio has put the fastest first sector in of anybody, 36.685. So the temperature might not be coming back to this track, but that dry line is definitely front and centre and rather prominent here on the Mulsanne Straight, but also on the circuit itself. You can see that Martin Buchan is closing on the Bentley Continental GT3 of Chris Wilson. Chris Wilson currently 14th at this particular moment in time overall, but he's behind Bradley Brockes and Cami Sturch, Ben Brown, Luke Pound and Max Spooner in terms of the AM classification. Matt Richards rejoins in 5th place. So I think Matt Richards has been looking at these different strategies, looking at how he can do the absolute bare minimum, but still to have a fairly decent points haul to give him the championship at the end of this race.
Yeah, the problem with that, with doing the absolute minimum, is that you leave yourself very vulnerable. This is a replay here, and just, yeah, we've seen that happen before. Just 2 wheels on the grass, too greedy, and that's going to be into the wall every single day of the week.
Yeah, very true. That was Hamish Eisner going off, just coming out. But just keep an eye on this at the moment. And,
is that why the car was crabbing so badly?
Yeah, that probably why. So Hamish Eisner must have done a full lap with that going down the Mulsanne. I mean, oh my goodness me, that must have been absolutely horrific. And then, ow, Dunlop curves. Yeah, that looks to be rather recently, because otherwise that would have been probably in the middle of the night. And but yeah, that just shows how quickly a race can go south rather suddenly.
Absolutely. Pace-wise, Martin Buchan's starting to light up the timing screens as well, so keep an eye out for him. But, you know, Devin Brown, Joonas Raivio, Martin Buchan, they are just absolutely flying right now. We're talking 357s. Obviously, Joonas getting into the 350, was that a 355 that he did earlier on? That was just absolutely absurd. But yeah, Matt Richards has got it all to do. It's all about strategy. We did say that, and we did say it sort of tongue-in-cheek on the preview show yesterday and on the build-up today that, you know, strategy was going to be such a big thing. And it almost sounds like a bit of a cop-out for us, because it's like, you know, we're not really wanting to say either way, or we're wanting to hedge our bets. But really, when you think about it, these races can almost 100% be decided on the strategy, the pit stops that the drivers decide to take, and not just that, but the consequences of how the drivers have to drive after those pit stops. I think this is Hamish now again. Oh my goodness me, that was full force into the tyre barriers there. And, well, that might have actually straightened things out for him. Never mind. We are still watching, though, Ciro Vire for Zansho Simsport. Fourth place at the moment, currently about 50 seconds off of your race leader, but I think he's just about 5 seconds behind Martin Buchan. In fact, that gap come down to about 4.8 seconds just now. And, yeah, 46 minutes left to go. What a race we've had so far.
Yeah, you can see that we're on board with Hamish Eisner in the number 30 from eTeam BRIT. Yeah, that car's tracking that car's crabbing to the left-hand side. You could just see he was trying to turn right, and the car just literally pitched itself into the barriers on the Mulsanne there. And good spatial awareness by Chris Wilson, just to let Sidovai just pass through and go through Tête Rouge into the Mulsanne straight. There's Cammy Sturch, still keeping on going, and to be honest with you, look, she's not too far behind Louis Stewart, but then nearest rival up the road will be Ben Brown, about probably about the best part of about 10 seconds or so. But Cammy Sturch, she's just doing her level best, just trying to make sure that she gets herself into the best position possible in terms of championship ramifications, because at the end of the day, both her and Ben Brown, they are both hungry for it. We know that Bradley Brockies is with a mathematical chance of getting this championship, but I think it's going to be yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, it's going to be rather interesting in the last 45 minutes of the race here, David.
It certainly is, Alex, and for a number of different reasons. Obviously, we've got the championships to think about, but we've also got like cracking races going on track, and you know, we've got real 1000 IQ big brain plays going on here with trying to undercut through both of the mandatory pit stops, as we see Dan Heyde going back into the pits just now. Great move from Cammy Sturch around the outside there. That was so nicely done there on Stewart there in the number 13 car. Beautiful move.
Yeah, well, the thing is that I think Louis Stewart got a bit too hungry with the sausage curb again, like a few drivers have done during this race through the board chicane, and it just sort of unsettled the Audi, and then all of a sudden Cammy Sturch was there and went, "Yep, thank you very much, such a gentleman for letting me through. There you go, job done." But the thing is, that was for position on the road, but not for position in class. But this means now Cammy Sturch has clear air between herself and Ben Brown. Gap between them, nearly 13 seconds. But there's still plenty of time. There's still plenty of opportunity for Cammy Sturch to try and close up to the likes of Ben Brown and all. But at the moment, Max Spooner is leading the AM class by a whopping 20 seconds, would you believe it, right now?
Yeah, that's an awesome performance, and one of his best performances this season. Really chuffed to see that. So I want to see that translate into a good finish as well, because we're still 44 minutes out. But having a look at your race leader, Devin Brown, almost certainly going to do another fastest lap here. Goes across the line. I think it's going to be a personal best for him. But yeah, stunning stuff coming in just now. Joonas Raivio as well. 356s just now are the order of the days. Yeah,
356 is well. Just to think he was the first one to go sub 3 minute 56 in this race, a 3 minute 55.685. Who's not to say that we see several drivers along with not just Joonas Raivio but also Devin Brown. You know, maybe even Sidovai and also Matt Richards. Well, Matt Richards, he's been running his best lap so far this race, 3 minute 57.7. I think there's still much. I think there's still a little bit more in that Corvette, but obviously, if he's staying in there for a long time with regards to the fuel stop, then he might be sort of like thinking, well, as long as I keep the tyres good and the fuel goes down at the rate that the engine will take it in at, I've got an opportunity of maybe closing up to those in front and pushing.
Yeah, just saw on screen there, Cammy Sturch having a huge moment, locking up the brakes for Team Fordzilla, going straight on and handing that place back to Louis Stewart on a silver platter. He's not going to look twice at a gift like that, and she has all that work to do all over again. I'm looking at lap times from Matt Richards right now, and I've got to be honest, I don't see him actually catching up right now. He's going to come across the line to complete his last lap there, but he's on pace in sector 1, but he just seems to fall away. Yeah, 3:58.7 that last lap round for Matt Richards. So yeah, that's about a second and a half to in fact that was 2.5 seconds slower than Joonas Raivio. Joonas could do the undercut here with 40 minutes left to go.
That's very, very possible. I mean, the thing is that we don't know what each driver has calculated, what strategy they're going to go for. When are they going to blink? Is it going to be too little, too late, or have they absolutely nailed the sweet spot? Your guess is as good as ours here in the commentary box, ladies and gentlemen. But that is the appeal of this kind of new scenario that that came into play for the Le Mans finale. But I know that there are people still watching out there. Thank you very much for bearing with us and being a part of the amount of interaction we've had so far. But the thing is, who is your money still on? Is it still on the people that you said earlier on in the race? Is it still on people that you think might have an opportunity at getting that victory? Well, we don't know, but what a great aerial shot on the back of Sandro Ballesteros' McLaren 720S GT3 from eTeam BRIT.
Yeah, it looks glorious, does it? Just heading its way through. And, I still stand by what I said. R Factor 2, one of the most beautiful looking sims that we've got out there. And, yeah, it's just great fun to be a part of this. And who knows what's going to happen in the next 40 minutes. I think the action that we'll see on track will almost be as pretty as the cars and the virtual surroundings. So 40 minutes left to go in the race then. Still Devin Brown in the lead by 9.5 seconds from Joonas Raivio. Joonas trying to catch up to Matt Richards in the championship, but it's not looking like it's going to be going that way. There's going to have to be some big moments as Raivio still has to pit. Martin Buchan still has to pit. Ciro Vire still has to do his second pit stop as well. Matt Richards, I believe, is the furthest car up that has done both his pit stops. However, Brown into the pits.
Yeah, and the thing is that for Joonas Raivio, I will be completely honest here, I don't know if this will happen, for Joonas Raivio to win the championship, if he finishes second, okay, that's 40 points, puts him on 170. Matt Richards, if he finishes, I'm just going to do the calculations on my spreadsheet right now, if he finishes in 7th position in Pro, that's it. No one can. That's it. It's Raivio's by a point. That's how close the championship can end up at the end of this race.
But look at how long Brown's into the pit stop for as well. Again, with only 38 minutes left to go, surely he doesn't need to take on that much fuel.
That depends on how he's got that Corvette set up. He'll be one of the big things, David. Heavier. Oh, what the on God's green earth did that lap time come from, Matt Richards? 3 minutes 54.977. I don't think Devin Parner may get the fastest lap. It could be Matt Richards. That could be a very, very interesting prospect. But wow, what a lap! That was spellbinding. I think if you want to use a superlative there.
Well, he's going to have his work cut out because when you think about it, Matt Richards has already done his second stop. So Brown's already behind Buchan and behind Matt Richards. So Richards has done a massive play here. It's all now down to how quickly Raivio can get his stop done.
Yeah, that's the key point. And the key question is, the $64,000 question is, when will that pit stop occur? And to be honest with you, with Joonas Raivio going all the way out to maybe say, what was it, just around the hour mark or so that he pitted, I think we might see that Joonas Raivio will probably have fueled it for maybe the first 40 minutes of the second hour, and then decided, right, I'm going to take on fuel, but I'm not going to need to put in as much for my third and final stint. I think that's what he's doing. He's playing the long game. He's trying to make the strategy work with him and not against him.
Yeah, I'd be putting as little fuel in as you possibly need. I would be tempted even just to potentially take some tyres and just absolutely throw that thing around within an inch of its life if there's no benefit of keeping the tyres that are currently on it. However, Martin Buchan back out on track. I think he's still ahead of Devin Brown. Louis Stewart jumping into the pits here just now. There's Devin Brown there. And yeah, I think that he's taken way too long in his pit stops, and that has compromised him massively.
Well, I think one of the other things about Devin Brown, when he was in that first pit stop for quite a bit of time, the thing is that when you have heavier fuel when you have a lot more fuel on the car, the centre of gravity actually lowers because it's hunkering the car down. So that could be where Devin Browner's strength is, that he's able to run with a high fuel load in a car that's got a slightly lower centre of gravity than what would normally be optimum, and is able to tweak the setup accordingly. And, after we saw his first pit stop, David, like literally, he was on a binge of speed, that guy.
He absolutely was. It was scary seeing the lap times that were being put in. But I'm also looking at the lap times between Raivio and Richards, and there's really not much to separate them going through just now. Fair enough, Matt Richards did do that the 3:54.9. But the problem is that gap's actually going up very, very slightly between Raivio and Richards in first and third place, and essentially that's all that matters right now.
Yeah, you're absolutely spot on with that, David. It's just about, as I said earlier, Matt Richards just needs to stay where he is and not panic, not cause any problems at all for himself, not anybody else, causing problems for himself. And that's where the key point is here in this particular race. Matt Richards, last season, season 1, did everything right. This season, he knows that he's had to work for this title. Big time. Absolutely big time. And so, at the end of it all, it's just, this has been a challenging race for everybody.
Oh, no! It's a penalty for Devin Brown. That'll be for track limits. Oh, that is absolutely heartbreaking after all that performance.
Well, I to be honest with you, that has made things even more interesting. James Hall has just said that Bobby Trunley's actually still lapping like a god, even though, so it's Bobby Trunley. He's lost all force feedback, and he's still in 9th place overall. He's trying to close on Luke Pound. Now Max Spoon is still leading in terms of the overall classification in AM. So things are not done and dusted yet. It's just so difficult to, I think you and I are probably going to agree on this one. We want something interesting to happen right now, don't we? And I think the first one is Devin Palmer getting a penalty. That for me would be track limits, by my understanding. But what else is going to... Oh, no, that was a bit of a late dive into the pits there, Max Spooner, I believe. That was very naughty indeed from the 63.
On that one though, I'm just totally 100% giving a virtual high five right now to Max Spooner. I am so chuffed to see the way that he has driven this race right now to keep himself up in the top 10, and I've got no doubt once the pit stops do circulate rounds that he will still be in the top 10. It's been a brilliant performance for him so far.
Yeah. I think, to be honest with you, the thing is, this track's gotten very, very dry all of a sudden. Temperature still has stayed quite low, but if rain was to come again, I think that would be rather interesting to spice up this race. But to be completely honest with you, I think hang on a second, I think we might be heading into. I can see some shadows not too far away from the cars. They seem to be getting a little bit elongated, I think.
You think it's getting a little bit dark, do you?
Possibly.
I think it's what is it, about 5:30 in the server time. So you're absolutely spot on. I think in the next 15 minutes we're going to head back into the night.
Well, what we thought. Now there were some surprises for us here in the commentary box as well, because we thought, well, okay, daytime, nighttime, daytime, nighttime. Well, that's going to be rather interesting for the drivers. But in the meantime, I cannot believe I am going to say this. Devin Brauner, meine Güte, 36.455 Sector 1, 1 minute 32.423 Sector 2. He is absolutely gunning for that lap, that fastest lap of Joonas Raivio, which sits at a 3 minute 55.685. Brauner is not holding back despite that penalty. And look who's just up ahead. Oh, Martin Buchan. Excuse me, coming through.
Do you know what, Alex? You were absolutely spot on calling that, because he took the extra fuel on, and look at him now. That car obviously loves that extra weight, the way that he's got that set up just now. It thrives in this to go. I mean, when he's been setting his bombshell laps, he's maybe gone purple Sector 1, personal best Sector 2. He hasn't gone purple Sector 1, purple Sector 2. So for me, this is going to be special. This is going to be absolutely huge.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, hold on to your hats for, the thing is that Brauner's still got to serve that drive-through. So whether he's winding up the wick on that car to get that car into the pit, serve the drive-through, and then get back out again. But on this particular occasion, no, he's kept it out. Okay, what's the lap time from Devin Brauner? I'm just waiting. He's now going to cross the line. This could be a mega lap. And he's 3 minutes 55.352. Wow. That's not as close to Matt Richards though, but Devin Brauner, had he not been behind Martin Buchan through the last couple of chicanes or whatever, he could have been close to being the second driver to go sub 3 minute 55.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just stunned at that one. 30 minutes left to go in the race here, and this Le Mans race, Alex, has had absolutely everything that we possibly could have wanted from this, and then some. It's just been amazing, and we still don't know. But Raivio has pitted, has done both his pit stops. I don't think Ciro Vire has done both his pit stops. I think he's still got one more to do. Matt Richards has, but he's going to have Brown catching up to him potentially in the next 15 minutes, depending on the pace that Brown can do. But to be honest, as long as Richards can keep it on a straight line, then yeah, I think he's got it.
I mean, to be honest with you, Devin Brauner still has to serve a penalty, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does.
Correctly.
That's absolutely right. Yeah.
Passed. So I think the thing is now, I mean, Devin Brauner did exactly the same first sector time as Matt Richards. He did a 36.4 in the first sector last time. This time it's a 36.8. So, when you get compromised through a little bit of, trying to get past another driver, especially if it's for position, you're going to be in that dirty air. You're going to be in that wake, and that can unsettle the back end of the car. So if there's been the slightest moment that Devin Brauner has had to compensate for, that could explain why Martin Buchan is still so close to him, around about 1.2 seconds behind.
Yeah, we'll have to see how that one pans out. Meanwhile, your race leader coming through Section 3 just now, fastest in Sector 2 and a personal best in Sector 1. So again, he is just pushing so hard in the leads. And literally, I mean, you could not ask anything more from Joonas Raivio. I did say yesterday in the preview show, I thought Joonas Raivio was going to win, but it wasn't going to be enough to take the championship. Yeah,
very, very true at this particular moment in time. And at the minute, out of the top 5, 2 drivers have pitted for 2 pit stops. That would be Matt Richards and Devin Barnett. Looking at the battle in AM, Ben Brown and Cammy Sturch are 1st and 2nd at the moment, respectively. 3rd, 7th and 8th, with Bradley Brockies rounding out the top 3 in that class. Luke Pound, who has been leading for part of it, as has Max Spooner. They're currently 10th and 12th, respectively, on the circuit, but they are 4th and 5th in AM, and they have done both of their mandatory pit stops. Chris Wilson is actually down in 14th position, but that would make him P6 based on the fact that of a penalty that he's had to serve. So, this could have been a rather different race. Oh, Max Spooner's got a penalty. Also, has he fallen foul of the track limits here at Le Mans? Because it's three strikes and then it's an instant penalty, according to the system software. As now Sid Ovia has pitted for his final time with 26 minutes and 48 seconds on the clock still to go, David.
Yeah, and I've got to be honest, I'm really gutted by that. That's completely deflated me, that penalty for Max Spooner. He was doing so well. It still doesn't take anything away. I mean, it's been a majestic performance from the young lad, and he should be very, very pleased with himself. And, potentially that might not cost him all that much in terms of position. But Cino Fire jumps into pit lane, then that hands second place into Matt Richards, who is now just 16 seconds ahead of Brown. Now, here's the thing: if he's got that penalty, surely Brown has to serve that within a couple of laps. It's
3 laps, but I think apparently, I mean, the thing is that apparently that I've just seen from James Hall, he's just said that Max's drive-through is for the pit lane entry that he just had. Oh dearie me.
In that case, then no sympathy whatsoever.
No, none at all. Style points, but no sympathy for Max Spooner. But to be honest with you, this race for him, I think it's been the raciest he's been all season. He started coming live in Imola, and then to be here at Le Mans, leading the AM class at some point during this race. It's a real shame about these penalties, but we'll know that for the next time he races at Le Mans. You got jokes, Mr. Tucker. Got jokes. At least he didn't get an ice cream during his entrance. Oh, that joke never gets old.
Saying absolutely nothing on that one.
Exactly. Yeah, the thing is that if you do cut the pit lane entry, you can actually be at the wrath of the officials for that one, and so the system software would have picked up because it was literally you need to be inside the tram lines when you come into the pit lane at Le Mans. Otherwise, that is a circumvention of regulations.
Just watching here as we've got under 25 minutes left to go. Where on earth, Alex, is the last an hour and 35 minutes gone? Because I cannot possibly tell you right now. This has just been an amazing race, and still absolutely kicking off as you see Stuart Ross French absolutely duking it out here with Chris Wilson side by side. And if I'm not mistaken, that is going to be on the run down to Indianapolis, and then through into Arnage. And he's got the move done. Wonderful stuff there to take that place back from Stuart Ross French.
That was through the Mulsanne there, David. So, because now they'll be heading down to Indianapolis and Arnage. But yeah, Cammy Sturch has now come in for the final time for a pit stop. So Cammy Sturch trying to get the biggest key point now is when will Cammy Sturch come out of the pits, and will she be able to chase down the likes of Bradley Brockies has done 1 pit stop, Luke Pound has done 2, Ben Brown has yet to serve his final pit stop. So into the last 23 and a half minutes, it's going to be rather interesting. 44 seconds in the pit stop for Cammy Sturch. So very shortly she'll be exiting the pit lane. So it is all down to what happens with Ben Brown in the next 23 or so minutes as to how Ben Brown judges this. And that depends on how much is left in the tank in that Mercedes right now.
Yeah, look, the pro class at the moment is done and dusted as it stands. It's wrapped up with 22 minutes left to go. However, it's really all to play for the AM Championship. We're seeing Bobby Trundley here in the McLaren. Good haul of points for him from tonight, but that's obviously not going to make too much of a difference to him in the championship standards for pro. Max Spooner as well is going to get a good heap of points here. It's a shame about that penalty, but if it was a choice between getting the penalty and driving with much more restraint, I'll take Max Spooner giving it large every single day of the week.
Giving it berries, if you will.
Yes.
Is another vernacular there. Martin Buchan now pits for the final time from P4. But then it is a case of, when does Joonas Raivio come into the pits? Bobby Trundle now closing in on Luke Pound. Now this is for 9th on the road, but we can't forget the fact that Luke Pound is currently 2nd in the AM class. And Bobby Trundle fires it up the inside through into the Mulsanne corner. Luke Pound just lets him through, but then latches straight onto the tail end of the McLaren 720, going down from Mulsanne down into towards Indianapolis. So this now means that Joonas Raivio is currently in 1st. Matt Richards. The thing is that, look at it from this perspective, David. Joonas Raivio is now coming into the last 21 and a half minutes, still yet to have done his 2nd and final mandatory stop here at Le Mans.
And that could prove crucial, because with only 20 minutes left to go, we're now past that point where you can kind of work that 30-second stop into your strategy, because it's going to be costing you time that you didn't need to have, if that makes sense. Because, with, say, 45 minutes to go, then a 30-second stop makes sense. But 20 minutes left to go, you've got that mandatory time that you have to stop for. It takes out the whole ability to do a splash and dash.
Yeah, exactly. And so if Raivio puts on a full set of tyres and then also decides to put a minimal amount of fuel, it will be the tyres that will take up more of the time as opposed to the fuel. So he doesn't need to brim the tank. You want that car be sharp on all 4 tyres going out. As Luke Pound now gets a penalty, that's changed a bit more this time around, because Luke Pound will now have to serve a penalty. That now promotes Max Spooner and Cammy Sturch to 3rd and 4th respectively, as Luke Pound now comes into pit lane. And look, Cammy Sturch now battling away, this time with Max Spooner. So it is Radical versus McLaren. And this is where things get interesting with 20 minutes still on the clock remaining. Sturch looks to try and get the inside line on this particular corner. Max Spooner sweeps to the outside. That's through the Porsche curves, but then Cammy Sturch goes looking up the inside of the number 63, Racing with Autism International. This is for position, and now Cammy Sturch knows that the fight begins right now over the next 19 and a half minutes.
And Cammy really having to hustle that car. That Radical doesn't like being pushed as much as it's been done just now. But yeah, this is awesome stuff. And Cammy tries to fit up the inside of the chicanes here. Really fair battling between the two of them. They're still side by side into the final corner, but it's going to be Max Spooner who gets it. Oh, he's compromised on the exit, and that unfortunately compromises Cammy Sturch as well. And she has to dig in. Oh, there's huge contact on the start line. Rolls into the pit wall. Goodness knows what happened there. But Max Spooner in an almighty accident with Cammy Sturch.
Oh my goodness me.
Oh, did you see that, Alex? Matt Richards has got a penalty.
Oh. Now I did say that we were waiting for something to happen. That spells danger. And oh my goodness me, I cannot believe what I've just witnessed. I cannot believe what I have just witnessed on that particular occasion.
Oh, that's for his. Sorry, excuse me. That's for his penalty. That's why Brown's in the pits again. Sorry.
Yeah. So the thing is that moment, I think, has just decided the AM Championship, quite literally. I mean,
that was a really strange one as well. I don't
know,
get that.
I know. I think we need to see a replay from a different angle, because that literally was so sudden.
I've got a horrible feeling that Max has slowed down to let Cammy past, because he maybe compromised her on the exit, or I don't know. That was just so bizarre.
Well, the thing was is that I saw that Cammy was pulling to the right-hand side to get the run on Max. Okay, let's go to the replay here. Okay, out of the forward chicane, Cammy gets a really, really good run. So you see that the car...
Oh, it looks like netcode issue. Looks like a server communication issue. It does happen on all of the different platforms. I've seen it happen in iRacing. I've seen it happen in a set of Corsa Competition, where there's a discrepancy between the driver's computer and the server, and when the two of them actually agree on what's happened there, the car is in a very slightly different position. So I've got to be honest, hand on heart, I don't think Max Spooner had any fault in that whatsoever.
Yeah, I feel so sorry for Cammy Sturch on this particular occasion. But look at this slow-mo we've got here. Just look at the racing respect between the two of them. Cammy Sturch going up the inside, and then you've got into the next right-hander. Right, okay, now watch this closely. Max Spooner wallops the curb with the right-hand side. That puts the car... and that was actually coming out of the final chicane. And what that did was, you saw the run that Cammy got. Okay, the switchback happened, so Spooner comes through into the forward chicane. Okay, takes the curb on the left-hand side, now tries to get the car pointing towards the right. Watch the red sausage curb on the inside. Spooner literally goes Knight Rider styley over the side of it. That now compromises the car. Back end steps out to the left, and then Sturch gets the opportunity of running towards the right-hand side, but has to lift off the accelerator in order to allow her to slip back into position. But then that happening, that was something that that might have been possibly, like you say, a netcode or a server lag issue, and that has caused problems for Cammy Sturch in terms of battling for the AM title. But I know for a fact that, you know, she has fought every single step of the way, and Max Spooner has done the gentlemanly thing and let her pass, and is now to say, right, Cammy, off you go for it. And I think I mean, look at Max Spooner's car, that's drifting wide, and I think the only thing that she can do is just get to the end of this race, and it is a case of woulda, coulda, shoulda, but we did not want that kind of thing to happen here.
Yeah, that is devastatingly sad. So, but I mean, they're still going. So yeah, fair play to them. 50 minutes left to go. Just keep on trucking. However, what is going on with Matt Richards though? So he got that penalty. He's going to have to come in the next couple of laps, and where is he going to come out? Because Brown is 39 seconds down the road. Then you've got that must be Buchan in fourth place. In fact, no, it's Ciro Vire that's in fourth place. So this is scary for the championship. This is potentially, he could, if he drops out of a podium, if Matt Richards goes to fourth place and Raivio takes first, Raivio takes the championship.
Yeah.
I cannot believe that.
By 3 points. By 3 points. So the thing is now, the thing is, if it's a penalty, it's going to be it's going to be a case of how long that drive-through takes. Now, the pit lane at Le Mans isn't as long as we've seen on certain other circuits that we've been at this year, David. But it's about how Matt Richards responds, because the first thing that he's got to do is that if he gets behind, if he comes out and he's behind somewhere, maybe like say Devin Brauner, that's still going to be fourth position. He needs to get into P3, otherwise he will not win this championship. If he's in P3, he wins by 3 points. So effectively, it'd be that would be one of the biggest point swings I think I've seen in quite a long time, because effectively Richards, that would be a 20 set. That would be, just have a look at this. So coming into this round, 130. Oh my goodness me. That means that Raivio would have effectively, he's got a 21 point differential at the moment. That'd be a 24 point swing to win the championship on the final round. Wow.
Yeah, that's absurd stuff. 12 minutes left to go for this one to all pan out. We wanted something. Hang on, I'm pretty sure I remember 45 minutes ago somebody saying they wanted something interesting to happen in this race.
Yeah, but I wanted it to be in the pro class, and that happened. I didn't expect what was going to happen with Cammy Sturch and Max Spooner there.
Yeah, that's. I feel so bad for both of them, because it's one of those things where I think the first time that Max is going to have known about it is when he got sent up in the air. So he's going to be like, what the heck's just happened there? And Cammy's going to be like, why did you just stop dead on the on the straight there? And of course, when we look at it, we get the luxury of being able to look at it from all different angles. They don't know what's happened, so. Yeah, unfortunate. But, you know, again, both of them just have to keep on trucking, keep on pushing, and get the best result they can.
Well, the funny thing is, now Ben Brown has actually pitted. Ben Brown is in the pits from the lead of the AM class here. So the biggest thing that I'm wondering is that how long is he actually going to be in the pits? And it looks like he's trying to make his way out. This could be, I'm just sort of looking, yeah, Cammy Sturch's times have dropped off a cliff at the moment. 4 minutes 13.1, Max Spooner 4:15.9. So they're basically driving wounded vehicles right now, and I think at the end of it, it's just going to be a case of what they can do.
Richards in the pits.
Oh, right, okay. This is where it's going to get interesting, because now this still means, at this particular moment in time, just looking at it now, Mikey, I can't believe I'm saying this, 191 to 180 for the lead, and then oh my god! You know what? If he comes out, this means Richards is the luckiest man alive. He just came out 24 seconds behind Joonas Raivio. That effectively, if he stays where he is now, Matt Richards is overall champion for the second time in a row.
Yeah, there's still 10 minutes left to go, and we know that pressure is not his friend. 12 seconds, so that is a healthy gap. And to be honest, he doesn't even need to worry about it. He could let Brown go past for all he cares and still hold on to that title by a mere, what would that be? That would be about 3 points.
Yeah, 3 points. So
yeah. So look, the ball is in Matt Richards' court. He got very, very lucky to that. But I mean, fair play to Joonas Raivio. I mean, he's literally done everything that he possibly could to try and take the championship tonight, and it's just not been his night, unfortunately.
Yeah. I'm absolutely speechless. I don't know what to say at this particular moment in time. But it's been one hell of a season. We've got to thank so many people. We've got to thank everyone that has competed this season. It's been a pleasure working alongside you once again for but the thing is, I'm saying a few thank yous, if our broadcast director would like to actually listen for a second, because he's the next person that I was going to mention as well. So the claws are out, sir. A big thank you again to Mike Yao. Fantastic broadcasting. Joined him along when we joined the Team BRIT Summer Series, which Mr. Christie was actually competing in, and then you get a call from me saying, do you fancy coming in the commentary box for the GT Challenge? And you're like, yeah, I'm game. And here we are 2 seasons later. So Mike, a big thank you to you, buddy, for all the broadcast work over the last couple of seasons. Big thank you to also to our race directors that are still going to be, I think, rather busy after this one, wouldn't you agree, David? But our race directors that have been doing a fantastic job currently at the moment, with regards to being the shrewd eyes over the proceedings, and also for everyone out there watching. We can't can't do it without you people out there being interactive and giving us your thoughts as we are now into the last 8 minutes of the season. Who'd have thought it would have ended like this, David?
Feels kind of deep when you say it like that, but yeah, like I have to take you up on a couple of things. Firstly, about Mike from Simply Racing, the broadcasts that he does. I mean, I feel really lucky to be involved with this, because it's like I've said it numerous times about how long I've been involved in the sim racing community, and Mike really does play a part in really elevating the quality of how sim racing is perceived. We can do these beautiful broadcasts with fancy graphics and live timing bars and all that sort of good stuff. And it just makes it so much more entertaining for the audience at home to watch. And it's just awesome stuff. And yeah, I mean, look, it's been a fantastic season, but I don't know. My gut is telling me that 7 minutes is a very long time in this season.
Oh my goodness me! Now my heart started beating again, a bit faster than normal. But yeah, I think you're completely right. I mean, we do work with Mike on other projects as well, and he does fantastic work every time out of the box. But interestingly enough, Bobby Trundley bump drafting on the back of Luke Pound. Going down the Mulsanne straight. Now, we saw that move a little bit earlier on, that Bobby went up the inside of Luke, going through into Mulsanne. And it has started to become a little bit of a nail-biting finish, as James Hall has just mentioned in the YouTube chat. But yeah, I think just to see some good, clean racing towards the end of it. Yeah, Louis Stewart. Oh, he gets a penalty now. Now, I'm wondering if that is for track limits as well. And it seems like Bobby Trundley's... James Hall has just said that Bobby Trundley's wheel is now overheating, and it's lost every single ounce of the force feedback now.
Ah, yeah, so that's the motors inside. That's the motors inside it that have decided to give up the ghost. Thankfully, if that is, I think I heard that it was a T300 that he's got. Thrustmaster do have a fantastic service program, so you can get that sent off and get that done. But oh, look at this! Oh, biggity boys, we are proper bump drafting down the Mulsanne straight here. Awesome stuff. Oh, this is what I love about Bobby, right? You listen to him on voice chat when he's racing. He is just having an absolute blast of a time. He is just loving it. And the giggles and the laughter that you get, it's so much fun.
It's so funny. Yeah, Jan von der Heide has just said 720S has too much power for the wheelbase to handle. Laugh out loud. Brilliant quip there, Jan. Thank you very much. And and then Dave Jones has just said, "Oh crikey, he needs a fan pointed at it." Oh, what, on full speed, possibly? No. Yeah, but at the end of the day, the mantra at Team Brit: they believe and achieve, and they don't quit. Those are the two of the mantras that they stick by. And Bobby Trundley, we've seen that before. That no matter how out of shape the car might be, he'll still literally grab it by the scruff of the neck, kicking and screaming, like he's doing right now. I mean, this is brilliant. I mean, Luke Pound and Bobby Trundley giving us a bump drafting show. And Amy Roberts says, yeah, Bobby's a bit shy for the cameras. Well, I think it's just the fact that he just wants to get the maximum amount of speed. I wonder...
I'm going to nip that one right in the bud. Like I said, you get him in a voice chat channel, he is definitely not a shy retiring wallflower. I can tell you that one.
No. And I've commentated on him back when he was when he secured a couple of championships back in 2017. Definitely not a shy individual. As they say, some things never change. 3 minutes and 50 seconds still to go on the clock, and we are not that far away from deciding who will be our Season 2 champions. And with the way things are going, it looks like Matt Richards will take the Pro title, Ben Brown will take the AM title, and the team's title provisioning will go to Rocket eSports for Season 2. We've got a yellow in Sector 3, and as I say that, look, David, it's hit 1800 on the server. The daytime is quickly turning to nightfall.
Yeah, it's very rapidly getting darker and darker as Joonas is on his final lap now.
Well, there we go. Not that far away from completing this race. We're on the 30th and final lap. So we had the qualifying under the night. We started under sunny skies with Rooster Tails Ahoy on a wet track. A full race restart after 5 minutes. And we are very, very much into the deep of night once again, having gone through what has been pretty much a well over 24-hour cycle on this server. But Joonas Raivio closing in on one of the eTeam BRIT cars, and Bobby Trundley doing his level best. I think he and Luke Pound are just having a bit of fun, just blowing off a little bit of steam. Well, hopefully there's not too much steam coming from the motors on that T300 Thrustmaster steering wheel of Bobby Trundley's, as yeah. And
is he actually trying to bully this car? It's just like, come on then, do something.
Come on, just make a move. Come on, I dare you. I've done all day.
Thing is,
triple dare, you know.
We know Bobby could have been passed by now. We know Bobby could have just fired it up that. Yeah,
I think him and Luke are just having a bit of fun. That's what it's meant to be.
Absolutely.
You know, I did say to him yesterday, Bobby, just run your own race. Run your own race. And that's exactly what he's done. And now he's going to try and,
Andy Tucker in YouTube chat. That's my boy, Bobby Ricky. Oh no! Max Spooner with another penalty.
Oh dear, Max Spooner's been caught out by the dead of night.
Oh, you hate to see it. But Joonas Raivio, I mean, we now need to start turning our attention to him. It's been an excellent race for him. It's unfortunate that it's not to be in terms of the championship, but he couldn't have tried any harder tonight. It's been an exemplary performance from the Rocket eSports driver. And I think if it hadn't have been for, say, round 4, where he only got the 11 points, it could have been so different. As it stands, though, looks like it's going to be 11 points to the good for Matt Richards.
Yeah, Luke Pound. Oh dear, Luke Pound gets a penalty. That changes a few things, because that means Luke Pound will not win the race. And I'm really, I'm going to say this now. I think Ben Brown has now provisionally won the title in AM. It's done. It's over and done with. He will get the thing is that I don't know what the penalty is for not serving a penalty on the last lap of the race, but the thing is that there may be a de facto penalty, but effectively Ben Brown will win the championship ahead of Cammy Sturch. I mean, a noble fight from Cammy all the way through the season. You know, Ben Brown could have been striding away with it after Adelaide, but incident back then really put him on the back foot, and then Cammy Sturch really had a difficult time at Monza, came back, won at Imola. It literally has been seesawing like the proverbial yo-yo at the moment, but it is pretty much decided. But we now turn our attention to the driver based out of Turku in Finland. Rocket eSports Joonas Raivio is literally corners away. It has been a 2-hour double points finale here at the eTeam BRIT GT Challenge. But having made his way to the front of the field, he started off things with a bang at round 1 at Silverstone, and at the Le Mans 2-hour finale, it is Joonas Raivio that takes the victory after 2 hours, a total of 30 laps completed. Raivio has done the job, but then we wait patiently, as it is going to be glory upon high for the second successive season. Matt Richards will win and defend successfully his eTeam BRIT GT Challenge title sideways out of the Ford chicane. Matt Richards has done it. Yeah, I'm still there. I'm still here. Don't worry. You know what? Great job by Devin Brauner. Sido Vaya takes 4th place ahead of Martin Buchan. Christian Kelly will take 6th. And you know what's happened? Ben Brown will take the victory very soon, but Sidovaya and Rocket eSports, David, have now taken the team's title. Martin Buchan has done a great job finishing in 5th place. He's going to get the better of Christian Kelly on this particular occasion, and probably with it bragging rights after season 2. Look, a cheeky flash of the lights there.
Yeah, fantastic performance from Buchan, getting the upper hand considerably over Christian Kelly yet again. And I think the bragging rights have well and truly gone to Martin Buchan this season.
Yeah, and we are just waiting. There is Christian Kelly making his way towards the far part of the circuit at this particular moment in time. And it's been rather interesting with how things have developed in there. But Christian Kelly making his way through the Porsche curves for the final time, through into Corvette very shortly. And both he and Martin have provided us with some fantastic side-by-side battling all the way through this part of the season, making the move up from the Cinetic BMW series, which we only ran for 1 season. But he's come good as a pro and has done his level best, and will now come out of the Ford chicane and take 6th position. Bobby Trundley very soon is about a minute down the road. He will take P8, as we are now just waiting for a few more drivers to come across the line. Cami Sturch will finish in what is going to be 4th in the AM category, and that means that she will be in I'm just going to now check in terms of Bradley Brockies. He will be on 32 points. And the top 3 in AM looks like this. Ben Brown will take the victory and will take the class victory in this. And I must say that Luke Pound's done a very good job to provisionally be classified in 2nd position in the AM class. So Bradley Brockies will round out the top 3 in the podium side of things. But Bobby Trundley having a bit of fun in the latter stages. His T300 Thrustmaster steering wheel and motors have now kept going as he gets a bit sideways, and he spins it, pirouetting, and brings it across the line in reverse to finish 7th. That's one way to finish a race. But Ben Brown has held on, and he becomes our Season 2 AM champion for Cam Sport Fire. Great job by Ben Brown. Fantastic work by him. Obviously, major commiserations to the likes of Cami Sturch, Bradley Brockies, Stuart Ross French. But for style points, I think Bobby Trundley cranked the volume up to 11 on that one, David.
Without a doubt. I mean, that has just been an amazing race going on as we see a car spinning round at the second last corner there. But yeah, look, what a brilliant season it's been. What a brilliant final race, more to the point. And, you know, for a lot of these drivers, right, you look at Bobby Trundley finishing in 8th place, and he's doing donuts like he's just won the championship. But I mean, it's the letting off steam. These guys and girls have had so much fun over the season, and now they can just sort of breathe a sigh of relief and let their hair down a little bit.
Yeah, the donuts being spun around just off of the exit of the pit lane by Bobby Trundley. Yeah, just absolutely brilliant to see how these drivers now just celebrating, letting off the steam after what's been a very, very interesting campaign. Even Max Spooner has got in on the action. But we do have to talk to some drivers. I'm now going to head down to the interview booth. David, I will be back with you in just a few moments' time because I've got to speak to some drivers, I've got to speak to some race winners, and also I've got to speak to some champions. So I'll be back with you very shortly.
Well, no problem, Alex. While we do that, quick run through your top 10 in. Joonas Raivio taking the win from Matt Richards. Devin Brown in 3rd place with Ciro Vire in 4th. Martin Buchan in 5th place. Christian Kelly finishing an excellent 6th place there behind Martin Buchan. Bobby Trundley, the man himself, in 7th place, Ben Brown in 8th place. It's going to be Luke Pound in 9th, and in 10th place is going to be Bradley Brockes. Louis Stewart in 11th, Cabby Sturch in 12th, Stuart Ross French in 13th place, Chris Wilson in 14th, Dan Blake in 15th, Max Spinner in 16th, Sandro Ballesteros in 17th, Hamish Eisner having a night to forget, but a very welcome debut for him in eTeam BRIT 2 in 18th place, Daniel Heyde in 19th, DNF 19 laps ago, Alex Buncombe DNF'd in 20th position. 21st for Haitham Abdelkader and David Simon on lap 2. So, without further ado, I believe we should have Alex over in the interview booth.
Thank you very much, David. Thank you very much for taking us through the running order. We do have some drivers to speak to. Firstly, I'd like to bring in the race victor for round 8 of the season here at Le Mans in the Pro category. Let's bring in Finland's Joonas Raivio. So without further ado, let's go through and speak to Joonas Raivio if we can. So Joonas, firstly, congratulations on winning the race here at Le Mans. Were you surprised with the fact that Matt got a very, very late penalty in the race?
First of all, thanks. I want to thank Jenson and Team Rocket for letting me drive the car. It's been an amazing season, and I mean, I know the penalty limit was supposed to be 5 cuts, but for some reason it was 3 cuts after all. So it's quite easy to get cuts there. So it's not that surprising, to be honest. I got 2 cuts as well, so it was on the limit.
And obviously, we did have the full restart after the massive incident on the Mulsanne Straight. And myself and David were very, very matter of fact that we said that if you got an opportunity to have a full restart, that you wouldn't waste that opportunity. You certainly didn't tonight.
Oh yeah, definitely. In the first race attempt, I had too much wing, so it was actually a good thing the restart happened, because I could put the wing down, and yeah, it was massively better. But yeah, I had some issues in the race, because first of all, every McLaren showed us Callaway for me, so it was a bit weird. And also, this one guy left the server like 2 times, and every time he did so, I got like a small screen freeze and lost some time. So yeah, it wasn't easy for me.
But obviously, we've seen you have a great fight with Matt this season, Joonas. It's been rather entertaining. I must firstly wish you all the very best of luck in the R Factor 2 GT Pro Series. I see that you've selected the Aston Martin, which you actually decided to compete in with us back in Season 1 when you and Sido made a bit of an appearance and made good your intentions. So thank you very much for competing this season, and we wish you all the best.
Oh yeah, thank you for having me.
So a big thank you there to Joonas Raivio. What we'll now do is we'll bring in our second place finisher, but also provisionally speaking, the now 2-time eTeam BRIT GT Challenge overall champion. Let's bring in Rocket eSports Matt Richards. Matt, firstly, apart from feeling rather sweaty in your simulator, how are you feeling now that it's all said and done, pretty much?
Pretty damn good, if I'm honest. Pretty damn good. It was a bit of a slog of a race.
Yeah, I think the thing was, myself and David, we were both on tenterhooks all the way through. We didn't know what was coming. We didn't know what the weather was going to do. It was rather a big challenge for everybody, wasn't it?
Oh, 100%. Especially going from the length of the races that we were doing, and doubling the length. 2 hours solo on your own is a tough thing to do if you're not used to it. So I think everybody that got to the end of the race deserves a good pat on the back, because it's not an easy thing to do, especially around Le Mans. yeah, it was. I had the strategy in mind of what I needed to do from the start of the race, and just put it into action, and luckily it worked.
Mm-hmm. But obviously the last minute penalty. Were you worried about that in some respects, or were you just like thinking, no, I think I've pretty much got this in the bag?
I was constantly doing calculations in my head through the race of where I needed to finish to secure anything and whatnot. So I knew I needed at least third. So when I got the penalty, I saw the gap to Devin. I knew how long the drive-through was going to be. So I kind of figured if I drop to third, that it's not a huge problem. If I can keep second, then that's great. And it just so happened that I think Devin must have had a drive-through as well, or something of the like. So yeah, it just made sure that second place was safe, and yeah, just a comfortable drive towards the end. I wasn't bothered about trying to catch up Joonas or anything, or I knew that the gap was big enough to Devin that I should be pretty comfortable, so just backed off for the last couple of laps just to make sure I got the car to the end.
Yeah, one final question. It looks like Rocket eSports have provisionally sewn up the team's title as well. I called it provisionally, and we had a discussion post-race, didn't we, via Discord DM? And yeah, you guys, like, literally, that is an absolutely humongous lead. I think you've got over both Zansho Simsport and also Cam Sport Fire. So, you know, Rocket eSports, I'm sure that quite a few people in the camp, including the likes of Jensen Button and all, will be very, very happy that Rocket eSports have taken the title. And also the fact is that for those that don't remember, you actually won the title on your Todd last season as well, and that was the team's title, if memory serves me correctly.
Yeah, coming into the season with the competition that we had, obviously with the Zansho guys and the points difference with the AM class as well, we knew it was going to be tough. But I think the consistency from both of us over the season just meant that every single time that anybody else was scoring points, we were still matching them for points, even if we had a bit of bad luck during the race. I think for me as well, I don't think I finished off the podium for the entire season, so that's something that I'm pretty happy about, and just the general consistency through the season was really good to just pull the points gap that we needed. And I'll echo what Joonas said, that it's a huge opportunity to be driving for Rocket eSports, and it's a big thank you to them for being in the position that I'm in and what they've helped me to do.
Matt Richards, provisionally our Season 2 overall champion. Congratulations, and thank you for taking part this season, Matt.
Thank you very much.
Okay, big thank you to Matt Richards. We'll bring in our third place finisher in the pro class, stepping in for Jan van der Heyde. Let's bring in Devin Brauner. So Devin, firstly, congratulations on third place. But it was a race that I think a lot of people were not expecting all the surprises. I think both yourself and Matt, you both had drive-through penalties, but when we saw you come out of the pit lane with a lot of fuel on, that car was pretty rapid, wasn't it?
Oh yes. First of all, thank you. Yeah, no, there was a slight mishap at the pit stop, as I was told a little bit of information that turned out to be slightly false, and that may have cost me 40 seconds, but at least the car was quick on track, so that was fun.
Yeah. I was going to ask, did you fill up the tank completely? Because obviously you raced with 2Cs at this track for the Le Mans 24-hour virtual. Did the car feel a little bit more planted, especially with the fact that we had very, very changeable conditions? You had dry and wet lines on the circuit, and I don't think the temperature went any higher than 5 degrees Celsius.
You know, the car was a handful. The problem was the line was fairly narrow throughout the first part of the race, so if you make like a tiny mistake, ever so small, you just go off. So that's incredibly difficult to just run for 2 hours straight without any mistakes, and I don't think anyone managed without at least like a small second or two in the gravel, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. Well, Devin, it's been a real pleasure having you with us. When Ed Trevelyan Johnson said, yeah, Devin might spice things up, you definitely did. Myself and David were like thinking, where are these lap times coming from? It was just like completely ridiculous. But thank you for making tonight so entertaining. Really do appreciate it.
Well, thank you.
So a big thank you to Devin Brauner in Zansho Simsport. But we now need to move on to our AM class. Firstly, let's bring in the number 22 from Cam Sport Fire, your race victor, and now provisionally season 2 AM champion. Let's bring in Ben Brown. Ben, firstly, congratulations. You must be breathing the biggest sigh of relief right now, my friend.
Yes, definitely. There's not much of my car left in one piece after that first 15 minutes. So I feel bad at the end. I feel bad for Luke, who had to pit and lost out on the win for class, but for myself, I'm just very, very happy. It's been a very up and down season, so to wrap it up with another win in manic conditions in the slidey Merc I'm very happy with that.
Yeah, I think one of the other things that we do have to sort of discuss here, obviously, we were seeing that Cami was a bit on the back foot. There was the moment between her and Max in the race where Max had a moment coming through the Ford chicane. It compromised both of them. That we then saw possibly a netcode issue or something like that caused both of them a problem. Would you have loved to have had a one-on-one battle with Cami in the last half an hour? Just be completely honest as a racing.
Well, yeah, at the end, but we did actually have a battle in the first half an hour, which is ironically the first time we've been side by side since Silverstone. So that was nice. But I mean, yeah, it would have been nice to have the fight at the end, but because of the way that was nursed in the car, I mean, I got hit before the race even started. So that about summed up what a name of survival that was. You know, the rear of the car was already knackered before we even went go for 2 hours. So I'm just happy just to finish. I think me and Cami had a good scrap in the middle of the race. I think it was about half an hour, 40 minutes in. I don't know if you saw it on stream. And at the end, to be honest, it would have been nice to have a little bit more fighting at the end. But when you've already been in the car for an hour 40 and you're 20 minutes away from winning the championship,
yeah,
it's a 50-50 at that point. Do you want the nice action or do you want to just get over the line and limp over the line?
Yeah. No. Well, Ben, congratulations. Provisionally our AM champion for season 2. Well done.
Cheers.
Okay, big thank you to Ben Brown there. We're now going to bring in our runner-up for season 2 in the AM category. Let's bring in Team Fordzilla's Cami Sturch. Well, Cami, it's the end of the season. You finished runner-up in the championship, but to have fought all the way, kicking and screaming, that radical across every single finish line apart from Monza, you must still be pretty proud of getting into second position at the end of it all.
Surprised to get it, really. I think there was a update to the game, a change of balance of performance, and down the Mulsanne straight, the radical just, no matter what we did, we just watched every car go faster than us down the Mulsanne, so we felt a bit helpless, really. And
obviously one of the things I wanted to talk about, and I know it's a difficult subject to broach on, but obviously we saw the incident between yourself and Max coming out of the Ford chicane where he caught the sausage curb. Can you just explain, I mean, like, literally it's so sudden, but how difficult was that radical to drive after that particular moment?
Oh, it was fine, actually. That was a strange thing. So yeah, I didn't notice, it wasn't about him catching the sausage curb. What happened on my view was we both came out of the chicane. I was trailing him, and suddenly he had a lag spike, netcode. His car just stopped. So on my screen, his car stopped, and I sort of went through his car briefly, and then suddenly it sort of glitched, and my car, I was looking at the sky, and then it was being smashed into the pit wall. But amazingly, the car still felt amazing to drive after that. So I was able to still sort of put in some good laps, and I was catching Bradley a little bit, but just not enough to catch him.
Yeah, I mean, I think
I'm dead.
I think You completely said that right. Martin Buchan's actually, just as you just said that, Cam, he's just put on there one McLaren 720S GT3 for sale. Beautiful in pink. Mars bars, wrappers won't be cleaned. Oh, well, that's probably why he's got a bit of a weight deficit in that car. Too much paperwork there. But Cammy, just really good to see Team Fordzilla as part of the grid, and just really, really pleased to just sort of see you literally give it your all. Well done this season.
We gave it our all. That's all we can do. I hope I've made Fordzilla proud. Hello to all the friends and family who I know have been following this series. So thanks. I mean, when Ben was behind me, I was like, well, there's no point battling him. I need him 2 places behind me to win the championship. And I didn't want to sort of finish it Michael Schumacher style, sort of turning into something.
Yeah, we definitely didn't want that at all, did we? But well done this season, Cammy, and good luck in the Diamond Cup as well. That you're racing in at the moment. So good luck with that on Wednesday night.
Yes.
So big thank you there to Cammy Sturch. Let's bring in eTeam BRIT's Bradley Brockies, our 3rd place driver overall. Bradley, firstly, good to have you back on the podium. Very, very interesting race out there. How was it from your side?
Alex, thank you. It was quite a difficult one. You may have seen the accident at the beginning, me going down to pretty much second to last. So it was quite interesting driving back up, but yeah.
Now you finished 3rd in the championship overall. Obviously, 3rd in AM. You were 4th in last season in your first ever season of esports competition. You've grown in leaps and bounds, but obviously it's not been easy for eTeam BRIT, not just for yourself but also for Sandro Ballesteros. But to come back and finish the season on a high in a podium, you must be feeling pretty good, mate.
Yeah, definitely. We're both feeling pretty good after that because we had a streak of 2 or 3 races that didn't really go our way. So yeah, it definitely feels good now.
Yeah, I know that you guys at eTeam BRIT have got a very, very busy schedule, obviously, with what's happening tomorrow with GTR 24H. So all the very best of luck for that, Bradley, and well done this season.
Thank you, Alex.
Okay, big thank you to Bradley Brockies. We're now going to bring in someone that we haven't spoken to for quite a while, but there's a reason for this.
Yay.
Let's bring in Racing with Autism International's Max Spooner, who is also the championship coordinator. Max, you were definitely giving it Billy Watsits out there at the track this evening, weren't you?
Yeah, it was all mostly going to plan up until the first pit stop. It probably didn't look clear at the time, but I actually got hit in the pit when I was in my pit box, and while it didn't trigger that much damage, because for the next stint I was absolutely fine, it set off the repair all on the pit. So when I next came in, I was in for like a minute, and I think that pretty much ended the race for me.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise, you know, the pace is there now, which is, I think, really, I think it's probably my best finish of the season.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you are definitely right on that front. I think that was P5, if memory serves me correctly, or something like that. I'll have to look through the results a little bit later. But obviously, you've been the championship coordinator for Season 2. We've had some great drivers join us, the likes of Jensen Button, Sebastian Priaulx, Nicky Hayes. We've also had Alex Buncombe with us for quite a few rounds, who secured a podium back at Monza a month ago. What are your feelings after what's been a rather interesting second season of the eTeam BRIT GT Challenge?
I feel like I'm just a magnet for Alex Buncombe. But yeah, it's been absolutely crazy. I think, you know, when we started this journey, you know, we started with 17 cars, and then, you know, to peak at about 30, and, you know, to have some of the highest, you know, biggest names of motorsport, you know, joining us, you know, factory drivers, Formula 1 world champions, you know, it was crazy, and I think it really sort of demonstrated the level that this championship runs at, and I think the racing has been absolutely superb. And, you know, a lot of hard work has gone into it, a lot of late nights, lots of stressful last minute sort of like things, whether it be drivers having problems joining the server, and Grant and Mike have been brilliant to sort of just jump on that and get him on the grid, and the whether it be the posters, the hot laps, the preview shows, so much work goes into this. I don't think people always sort of like appreciate and understand, but I think sort of seeing the fruits of our labour come out, and the quality of the broadcast, the quality of the racing, it's been absolutely brilliant, and I can't wait to see what the future entails for us.
Indeed, we'll be releasing information on that very, very soon. But Max Spooner, thanks again, and great racing tonight.
Guys, thank you. You've all been mega, and look forward to the next one.
So, David, very good to hear from the likes of Joonas Raivio, Devin Brauner, pro champion Matt Richards, Ben Brown, who took the AM title. Really good to hear from Cammy as well. Still in good spirits after what happened, and really nice to hear from Max after what's been an interesting second season.
Oh, that was just awesome. I really did enjoy those interviews there. I always love hearing from Max, but I mean, just tonight, again, we work with him more regularly than a lot of people would maybe realise, because obviously, as you said, he's a championship coordinator, and you kind of have a vested interest in him, because he's like, you see him there, and he's in the mid pack, and then he has an absolute blinder like he had tonight. You're like, go on, son, get in there. So yeah, it's just brilliant that. But again, it goes back to something that I said all the way at the start of the season, Alex. With a lot of the drivers that have returned from the first season that we did, you kind of feel like these drivers, and you kind of feel like you want them to do well, and you're proud of them when they come on in leaps and bounds, and they improve, and you can see how they're getting on. So yeah, it's been a fantastic season. Everyone's, from the looks of it, really enjoyed themselves, and I don't know about you, man, but it's just been an absolute blast to be a part of this.
Definitely has. So we have to say thank you to everyone for watching. A big thank you to Mike Yao from Simply Race doing all the broadcast for the past 2 seasons. A big thank you to him. Grant Lyman, his partner in crime. They've been, as Max was alluding to earlier, all the issues that drivers have had with regards to technical and that kind of thing. They've been absolutely fantastic. A big thank you to everyone behind the scenes that have worked so hard, all our partners that have helped us run this championship. A big thank you to every single team and driver that has raced with us in season 2. That is it from David Christie and Alex Goldschmidt here from the virtual recreation of Le Mans. Good night.